right onto the I-40 West ramp, then merge onto I-40. Sharp right onto the ramp to I-40, then merge onto I-40. Continue on I-40 for 72 miles.
kampanya dia magkatulong pa siya tayo rin mo. Sa pagmating ng mga pakita, inapo sa siya ako. Piching ka kaya, ibigin ko rin porque kasi magkatulong sa tayo niya, magkatulong pa siya tayo rin mo.
We do have emails and text messages.
Emails, okay, great. Does the head of the Trump detail or someone else embedded in this detail have command decision-making authority, or do they need to seek authorization from someone outside that detail?
The head of the detail has the decision-making authority for things that are necessary for that detail.
Is that standard for protection details?
Yes, it is.
Let me ask you something. During campaign events, is it common for the Secret Service to utilize other agencies?
Yes, it is.
What other agencies would be providing assistance to the Secret Service?
There are a number of other agencies that provide assistance to the Secret Service during campaigns. We utilize personnel from the Department of Homeland Security. We utilize personnel from the Department of Defense, and we utilize local law enforcement partners.
Are you on the same radios? Do you provide the radios to all the assets that are taking part in protection of an event?
We provide radios to the personnel from the Department of Homeland Security that are assisting us.
But not local law enforcement?
Local law enforcement is working on their own radios.
Are you on the same frequency?
We ensure that we have counterparts in the security room, and so the local law enforcement will place one of their personnel in the security room with our personnel so that we have interoperability and communications.
Let me ask you something just about the timeline, because I think this is really interesting that we can't nail that down. I mean, I think there are lay people out there with more knowledge about the timeline than you seem to come before a subpoena in front of Congress. Was Mr. Crooks observed at the AGR building prior to the shooting?
He was observed on the grounds outside of our perimeter prior to the shooting.
At approximately what time was that? You don't have to give me the specific minute, but at approximately what time was that happened?
I believe it was about 45 minutes or so prior to.
Did the sniper team take a photo of Mr. Crooks?
The local team did, yes.
So it was a local team and not a Secret Service sniper?
That took the photo.
Okay. And did he relay that photo to Central Command?
Again, it's an active ongoing investigation, so I want to make sure that I'm factual with the route that photo took and who that was disseminated to and when.
What time did when did Mr. Crooks' status go from a person that was under suspicion to a threat? When did that happen? And maybe not even a specific time, Director Cheadle. Maybe a certain event that happened that transformed him from a person of suspicion to a threat. When did that happen?
To the best of my knowledge, based on what I've been told thus far, it's approximately 5 minutes to where individuals relayed that there was an incident being worked at the 3 o'clock of the president.
So that was, but it was before the shots were fired?
That is correct, but again, it was not phrased as a threat. It was just that something was being worked.
Yeah, but my question is, when did he become, when did he transform from suspicion to threat? Because they're treated very differently. People can be suspicious, but they're not a threat until a certain point in time. So when did that happen?
I believe that it was seconds before the gunfire started.
Seconds. My gosh, we actually have a few questions that we got answered today. Listen, I'm going to wrap up here, Mr. Chairman, but here's the frustration that people have. The buck stops with you. You've said that yourself. But the problem in Washington, D.C., it is the only town in America that you can be so bad at your job that you actually get a promotion or don't get fired. You have not been able to answer the number of agents, whether or not requests were denied on additional security, whether or not law enforcement were able to engage before the shooting with the assassin, how he got on the roof. how the rifle got on the roof. You can't tell us how many shots he fired, whether the casings were recovered. You can't tell us anything about his cell phone. You can't tell us whether the rally was supposed to be postponed, given the intelligence that you were receiving. You can't tell us whether the car had a bomb. You can't even tell us his motive. And the American people are incredibly distrustful because it has taken 9 days to even get a scintilla of evidence out of you. Maybe if I was CNN or ABC or NBC, I would have gotten much more thorough and accurate information. But we have not received that in a subpoenaed hearing in front of this Congress. That is why the American people are frustrated. And I echo the bipartisan calls on this committee and all across this country that you should resign, or maybe when the president wakes up from his nap, he can fire you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Chair now recognizes Ms. Luna from Florida.
Director Schiegel, can you please give me the names of the individuals who are in charge of your conduct for the rally?
I'm not going to release names.
Can you give me the titles? And how many individuals?
No,
Nothing.
we had a full advance team that was responsible
Who
for
are the,
advance.
how many people are the final approval authority?
There are a number of people
Can you
that
give me a
are
number?
engaged in approving
Can you
the
give me
plan.
a number?
No, I do not have
Okay.
a firm number.
Can you just confirm whether or not, I understand this is an open investigation, but in order to dispel conspiracy theories, have you guys been able to subpoena the shooter's Discord records, or has the FBI to your knowledge?
I believe that the FBI is working on those.
Okay. Is it factual to say that you have not ruled out that the shooter was working with other people or persons?
Again, the FBI is conducting the criminal investigation into
Can
the
you,
shooter.
at least in an effort to dispel conspiracy theories, can you confirm or deny that?
At this time, we do not have that there were any other people engaged.
So you believe he's acting alone?
I do.
Okay. Have you been made aware of multiple eyewitness reporting that there was a second shooter on a water tower?
I do not have any information related to any second shooter.
Okay, the reason I asked that is because according to testimony from multiple witnesses, they did report that. And again, to my understanding, there were over 40 sniper teams that were briefed by the Butler ESU. And I want to make sure that people are aware, if you're saying that there's not another shooter, that we are able to clear that information, because from this whole entire briefing, it doesn't seem like much information has been able to get out to the American people. So I'm trying to dispel rumors, as I'm sure you understand. Was it true that Secret Service was present at the Butler ESU briefing?
There was a briefing between the counter sniper teams
Was
that were working
Secret
on the
Service
ground.
present?
Yes, to my knowledge.
Okay, I want to read you a report from people that seem to be throwing you under the bus and stated that they were in attendance and that Secret Service was not in attendance at the security briefing, according to individuals with knowledge, to also include that the AGR building where the shooter Thomas Matthew Crooks was located was actually not a part of their security perimeter for that. So there was not Secret Service present. It seems as though that when you were asked earlier from Rep. Krista Morphy about whether or not Secret Service was aware of a threat, you had said no, they were unaware of a threat. And yet, according to communications, again, from law enforcement that were in some of these group chats, they actually had reported that Secret Service was made aware of a threat at around 5:59 p.m. as a part of the command, including Secret Service, aware of messages and requests about information about the suspect's location. Can you please tell me if you have knowledge of that at all?
Again, I think we're conflating the difference between the term threat and suspicious.
But you guys did have knowledge at 5:59 p.m. according to those group chats, did you not?
Of a suspicious individual.
Okay. Chairman, in my opinion, according to some of the testimony today, I feel that you have perjured yourself in some instances, and so I'm going to ask for a full review of the transcripts by staff, and if you find that to be the case, I do ask that you bring perjury charges against the director. I will say this, it is very frustrating, and I've talked to my colleagues and we've said it to your face, that you have been up here basically stonewalling our ability to get the answers to the American people. And what I will also say is that every single member of Congress does not feel safe with you in charge. You have heard that, and I think that we are all sitting ducks with you and directing the Secret Service currently. But more importantly, it sends a message to our adversaries that we are not protected. And we are one of the strongest countries in the world, so you have essentially made us a less safe country because of it. As a result of that, I'm asking you to formally step down. I share my same opinions as my Democrat colleagues. And I also think that your efforts to bring forward a full investigation and report in 60 days is unacceptable. And as a result of that, I'm going to do everything in my legislative toolkit to ensure that that happens sooner rather than later. And I'm sure that you know that we brought a vote on inherent contempt against Garland for essentially blocking a congressional investigation. And I don't think that you should be any different. So I will say that I am really disgusted by your performance today, and I understand that you're probably in a position where you were being told not to testify, which is why we had to subpoena you. I think that goes back to Garland. But again, that's part of the flushing that we need to get out of Washington, and I would be happy to assist in that process. Chairman, you'll listen to time.
Chair now recognizes Mr. Langworthy for you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, and I appreciate you bringing this hearing forward with Director, yesterday I made a decision to get my car in preparation for this moment and asking you questions about the events of the assassination attempt on President Trump's life. I've done several presidential events in prior in my career, and I wanted to see this site with my own two eyes because I don't believe the video footage tells the whole story or looking at things on a diagram. And I was absolutely appalled when I went to the site, when I saw the fact that I could have stood on the roof of that building, the AGR building, and hit that podium with a 9-iron, and I'm a lousy golfer. And the fact that that was not included in the perimeter is a complete dereliction of the duty of the U.S. Secret Service. I mean, there are very few rooftops that need to be secured, and the fact that the Secret Service, as they were putting a site plan in place, did not think it was necessary to man those rooftops, you have completely walked away from your duties. You had one job, and that's to protect the future President of the United States, to protect all of the other protectees. And President Trump is only here today by God's grace because he had just something in him that made him turn his head just slightly. Or we would be in a national period of mourning right now. And you have done nothing here. I've rewritten these questions like 4 times during your hearing, and you haven't answered a damn one of them. You haven't given any information. You've hidden behind this FBI investigation, and I think you should be ashamed of yourself because you have brought more shame to your agency than I think that the assassination attempt has at this point. This is literally the worst performance I have ever seen in front of a congressional hearing. You have offered no reason for this committee, this body, or the American people to trust you or the Secret Service today. And you should resign. You have said that you've put new security measures in place after the assassination attempt. Can you tell us what those are? Because the American people want to know that you're taking real corrective measures. But today you've pointed to an investigation. An investigation or not, you still have a job to do with a zero-fail mission. So far, there's been absolutely no accountability, and you've admitted that here today. Not one person's been suspended. Not one person's been put on a desk. Meanwhile, we've got the most contentious of elections in our nation's history, and protectees are in danger because of incompetent leadership. Not the agents. The agents piled on President Trump to protect his life. Those are heroes. But the administrators running your agency, they're not right now. They're not doing their jobs. And you certainly aren't doing it. The most appalling part of Saturday's events is the countless opportunities the Secret Service had to stop Crooks before he even got on the roof. At 3 o'clock, Crooks raised suspicion by entering the rally with a rangefinder. At 5:45, a cop with the Weaver County Emergency Services Unit saw Crooks eyeballing the roof at the AGR International. And then at 5:55, Secret Service was warned of a suspicious person and identifies Crooks as a threat. This was all before shots were fired 15 minutes later. Director, yes or no, did local law enforcement alert the Secret Service about Crooks' presence in the rally?
Yes, they did.
The shooter came to attention of law enforcement almost an hour before President Trump. Law enforcement alerted the Secret Service of the shooter. Over and over, you've said there's a difference between a suspicious individual and a threatening individual. Can you explain what the shooters needed to exemplify?
So not clear as to what identified him as suspicious to the individuals who originally clarified him that way. For the Secret Service, for an individual to be determined to be a threat, that individual would have to be seen with a weapon or capable of doing some sort of harm to our protectees.
I mean, Director, an individual walking into a rally with a rangefinder, scoping out an unprotected rooftop, and he reportedly flew a drone over hours before. It sounds like a lot more than suspicious, especially in a presidential rally. Your operational lapses, your resource management, and poor judgment nearly resulted in the assassination of President Trump. I mean, the dereliction of duty here is just appalling. The fact that you haven't visited Butler, it is just maddening. You're not taking this job seriously. Many people here have called for your resignation. I've introduced a resolution here into this body that hopefully will get a vote this week, calling on the president to fire you, ma'am. You have not done your job. You have put in 2 black eyes on your agents, and you need to go. Mr. Chairman, I yield back.
Gentleman yields back. Chair now recognizes Mr. Burleson from Missouri.
Director Cheadle, I just want to kind of get an idea of what you can answer, because outside of what the FBI is responsible for, you have full responsibility for the Department of the Secret Service. So the question is, what is the mission? What is who defines the mission?
Our mission of the Secret Service is to protect the president, vice president, their immediate families, presidential candidates, the former presidents, and those by executive order. And we also have an investigative mission.
And those are well defined.
Yes,
Everyone within the agency understands them.
yes, they do.
What about protocols, standards? Who defines the protocols and standards?
We have a number of protocols and policies in place for the various missions that we have.
So would it be safe to say that you failed the mission, the ultimate mission?
I have stated repeatedly here today that there was a failure.
What about specific failures within protocols and guidelines within the agency?
Again, I am certain that the investigation that is being conducted internally as well as the external investigation.
You said earlier in the hearing that there was either a communication, there's errors in communication or in operations. Could it be both? In both errors in operational decisions and errors in communications?
I think the investigation potentially could identify both.
So I want to talk about communications. Representative Bober asked earlier about using encrypted apps that you said you've not used, I guess, Signal. Have you used any encrypted app to communicate from your personal device?
I do on occasion use encrypted apps to communicate.
So you use some form of an encrypted app to communicate with people within the federal government, with local law enforcement. Whom are you communicating with using encrypted apps?
Many times it's with colleagues and associates.
So you're communicating with colleagues on a personal device?
There are times that the Secret Service, when we work internationally with some of our partners, that they don't have the same texting capability.
And you're not able to do that with your government issued device?
Recently, we have been able to install some of those apps on government devices.
Okay. Let's talk about some of the things that we can get access to. I'm actually shocked that you are using your personal device and encrypted communication tools. I think that might be the most shocking thing that I've heard today. I didn't expect for you to say that. This committee has requested multiple documents. This is not, under the purview of the FBI, this is under your purview. We requested a complete list of all law enforcement personnel, including Secret Service, Department of Homeland Security, local law enforcement with the roles of protecting the president. And we requested that for us to receive that by July 18th. Did you provide that?
I believe that our agency is in the process of collecting all documents.
So you you have not provided it. How long does it take to determine who the personnel were that were on site?
We are collecting a comprehensive list of all the documents that have been requested.
We also requested all the audio and video recordings that your agency, not the FBI, but your agency has in possession related to the event. Did we receive those? those at all?
We are in the process of collecting all documentation requested.
You're in the process. You have not. Any memorandums or any internal communications related to the event? We requested that you provide that. Have you provided any of that?
We are in the process of collecting the information that has been requested.
Okay. So when can we expect to receive these documents? How long does it take to determine who was on site, who was being employed to be there to protect the former president? When can we expect that? How many days does it take to provide that information?
We want to make sure that we have a comprehensive accounting of all of the documents that were engaged in that day. We will make them available as soon as possible.
I think transparency is the key here. It's shocking to me that we are communicating in a encrypted app to colleagues. I almost certainly that violates some federal rules.
I would like to clarify, you didn't ask me whether my communications were government work related or whether they were personally related.
You're communicating with colleagues.
Government business with colleagues on a personal device. I communicate on my work device.
Are you using an encrypted device on your work device?
I am not.
No encrypted apps.
No, I do not.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Chair now recognizes Mr. Waltz from Florida.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Madam Director, please, I'd like to direct your attention to this video.
And I sincerely appreciate the clarity on this.
Can we turn up the volume, staff?
I have to, because this has popped up. Republican Congressman Mike Walz, he said on social media on Saturday, and I'm going to read this for you because it does talk about you, Secretary. I have very reliable sources telling me that there have been repeated requests for stronger Secret Service protection for President Trump denied by Secretary Mayorkas. Your department has already pushed back on that, calling that absolutely false, but he is putting this on you. Can you respond to that, please?
Well, that's a baseless and irresponsible statement, and it's one that is unequivocally false.
Director Cheadle, did you speak with your boss, Secretary Mayorkas? You fall under DHS. Did you speak with him on the 14th, the day after?
Yes, I did.
So you spoke with him before he made that statement?
I spoke with him immediately following.
Did you inform him that all requests for additional resources for President Trump had been fulfilled? Or that it was false to say they had been denied?
I informed him that the request for that rally that day had been fulfilled.
Okay, you continue to answer that very carefully. Because I made a broader statement, the agents that came to me made a broader statement that his permanent protective detail for years now have been asking for more. Is that correct?
I do not have specific incidents of those requests.
Is it correct that they've been asking for more?
I have heard the same reports that you have. Without having them in front of me, I am unable.
Those requests are made in writing. I mean, the agents are telling me they make them in writing. This isn't a verbal agency. Things are made in writing.
I understand what you're saying. I don't have those requests in front of me here.
I'm not asking if you have them in front of you. Are you aware that they were made?
As I said earlier, there are times when requests are made, and depending on the availability of assets, or if there is a way that
So there were times when they were denied.
if there is a way that vulnerability can be mitigated in a different way, then that is why
So there are times when they were denied for a variety of reasons.
That is why the Secret Service has a multi-layered and multifaceted security plan so that we can pivot.
So in the wake, in the immediate 48 hours of an assassination attempt on a former president, could be the next leader of the free world, almost had his head blown off, your boss says that's irresponsible and false to say things are denied. And you had talked to him. So did he just make that up on his own? Or did you tell him that?
We were speaking about the requests made at the rally.
Staff, can we show the next slide, please? Then we have your spokesman. Did you sign off on this statement? That there's an assertion
that a member of the former president's team requested additional security resources and those were above. This is absolutely false. In fact, we added protective resources and technology and capability as part of the increased campaign travel tempo. But next slide, please. Next slide, please, staff. We have the Washington Post article that then says we now have senior Secret Service officials saying there were at times when it was denied. So which is it?
Again, there have been a number of conversations going on here.
Did you sign off on that spokesman's statement?
The spokesman's statement, I believe, was related to requests that were made.
Did you sign off on it?
For the requests that were made at the rally.
Did you sign off on the statement before it went out? I sign off on my press spokesman statement before they go out. I would hope you would in the wake of an assassination attempt.
Yes.
You did. Categorically false that any requests were made. You signed off. Thank you for that. Thank you for that clarity. Madam Director, how many press conferences have you held since the assassination attempt?
We have put out press releases.
How many press conferences have you held? Gone to the mic, taking questions from the public, from the media? How many?
I have not held any.
How many has Secretary Mayorkas held? Zero. How many has the FBI held? Zero. How many has the Department of Justice held? I know you know the answer.
I believe there was a press conference in Butler after the incident occurred.
By local law enforcement, not by you and not by the Department of Homeland Security. So this is how this information flies. I mean, in the darkness, in the absence of information. Now we have 9 days later before a congressional committee, we all represent almost 1 million people, and you still don't have answers. Are you aware that national news anchors are saying this was a hoax? On national television, they're saying, no, the president wasn't shot, it was flying glass. Are you aware of that? Shooter had overseas encrypted platforms in Belgium and New Zealand and in Germany that a lot of people are speculating there could have been foreign involvement, logically. Are you aware of that?
Yes.
And have you done anything to disabuse any of these notions today? No. You haven't. Madam Director, I would fire you. Regardless of the failure, I would fire you just how you've handled it since. You should have been the first to the mics to say, America, world, I want to assure you, we're going to get to the bottom of this, I want to assure you full transparency. Our agency clearly had major gaps here, and I want to personally take responsibility and accountability. You should have been the first, standing alongside Secretary Mayorkas, and I would even go so far as to say have daily press conferences, updating everyone on what we know. But you haven't had any of that. What are you hiding behind?
I am not hiding.
Because you're making the situation worse. I think you've heard that on a bipartisan basis here. You are making this situation far worse in the absence of information. Let's move on. This is truly astounding. I want to be clear, because you keep dodging the issue. Has President Trump's permanent protective detail requested additional assets over the last few years? He is clearly not your average former president. He's not Jimmy Carter in an old folks home. He's not President Bush painting out in his barn. He has multiple residences, a lot of rallies. He's very publicly engaged, and he has a foreign threat in addition to domestic threats. Have they requested additional resources?
That's the last question, but please feel free to
Thank you,
Director.
We have continued, as I stated earlier, to increase over the past year the assets that are at the former president's residence and supplied to his detail.
Mr. Chairman, if I could just ask for one more indulgence. It is clear you have not been to Butler, Pennsylvania. Leaders lead and should be on the ground. You have not been there. Instead, you went to the RNC, but you weren't originally even going to go there. Where were you originally scheduled to go besides the RNC, a national special security event?
I was always scheduled to go to
Mr. Chairman, I would like to enter into the record that the director was scheduled to go to Aspen, hobnobbing around with, I don't know what liberal elites go to Aspen. That was where you were originally scheduled to go to speak at a forum.
I was scheduled to go to the RNC. I was going to leave the RNC for 24 hours and return back to the RNC.
I hope, as your predecessor, Julie Pearson, with a security incident on the White House and under the Obama administration and Reagan's Secret Service detail lead, I would hope you would have the dignity for the sake of the agents in the service to resign.
Gentleman's time's expired.
Thank you.
I'd like to enter a few things into the record. First of all, the remaining articles that Mr. Biggs was wanting to enter into the record without objection, so ordered. Next, I have a written statement from Representative Mike Kelly of Pennsylvania. His district includes Butler, and he has a written statement that we'd like to enter into the record without objection, so ordered. A bipartisan 114th congressional report titled United States Secret Service, an Agency in Crisis. This was prepared by former Oversight Committee Chairman Jason Chaffetz and former Ranking Member Elijah Cummings. And lastly, the issue subpoenaed compelling Director Cheadle's appearance at today's hearing without objection, so ordered. That concludes our question segment. I want to thank the Director for your testimony today. I now yield to the Ranking Member for closing remarks.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. And Director Cheadle, I also want to thank you for your patience over the course of what must have been a very long and trying hearing for you. It has been an unusually encouraging hearing and an unusually depressing hearing. And what's encouraging, Mr. Chairman, is that we came together to issue a strong statement deploring and categorically denouncing political violence in America. And I also didn't see any daylight between the members of the two parties today at the hearing in terms of our bafflement and outrage about the shocking operational failures that led to disaster and near catastrophe on July 13th, 2024. What is depressing is the extraordinary communications gap between the Director of the Secret Service and Congress. And I don't want to add to the Director's terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day, but I will be joining the Chairman in calling for the resignation of the Director, just because I think that this relationship is irretrievable at this point, and I think that the Director has lost the confidence of Congress at a very urgent and tender moment in the history of the country, and we need to very quickly move beyond this. But what I will say, Mr. Chairman, is that I took this hearing to be about two major policy failures, and one policy failure is the one that got the vast majority of the attention, which was the failure of the Secret Service to effectively respond to a gunman on a roof within 150 yards of a presidential visit and speech. But the other failure is on the part of Congress, because the mass shooting that took place in Butler, Pennsylvania, is replicated all over the country every day. And in fact, as I said, Mr. Chairman, it happened that evening in Alabama, in Birmingham, Alabama, where there was a mass shooting where more people even were killed and wounded than were killed and wounded in Butler, Pennsylvania. So it's true, the president, the former president, and a handful of people who get the Secret Service protection are the only people in America we thought were safe from an AR-15 attack. It's clear that they're not safe either, and we've got to get to the bottom of that. But we also have to get to the bottom of the larger problem, which is that the whole country is living like this, in fear and in terror of assault weapon attacks in movie theaters, churches, synagogues, mosques, supermarkets, Walmarts, any place where an audience or a public gathers. And the worst was in Las Vegas, where a gunman got up on a roof and then just mowed down 60 people below him and wounded hundreds and hundreds of other people. So we've got to deal with that problem. We've got to move as swiftly as we can to deal with the problems of the Secret Service, but the broader problem is still there. And I just wish to the heavens that our colleagues that could get together on the question of presidential security against an AR-15 attack could get together on the question of public security against an AR-15 attack, because all of us are vulnerable. All of our families are in danger by this, and the rest of the world doesn't live this way. And we have to look to see how uniquely strange it is that we allow 20-year-olds to access AR-15s, weapons of mass destruction, and show up in public places to endanger other people. And I hope, Mr. Chairman, we can work together on that with the same spirit of bipartisan commitment to the public safety that was exemplified here today. And I yield back to you.
Ranking Member yields back. I'll deliver my closing remarks. Director Cheadle, I subpoenaed you to appear today to get answers to the American people about the failures that led to the assassination attempt of President Donald J. Trump. Unfortunately, you refused to answer today. And this committee is not known for its model of bipartisanship, but I think today we came together unanimously in our disappointment for your lack of answers. You've stated that the FBI will investigate and give a report, and you estimate 60 days. We've been waiting for months and months for lots of different bits of information from the FBI. We have no confidence in the FBI. The majority of this committee has no confidence in the FBI. I sincerely hoped that the hearing today would give not just Congress confidence in the Secret Service, but the American people would have confidence in the Secret Service. We don't have confidence, not just in Congress. I don't believe the American people tonight when they go to bed are going to have confidence that the Secret Service is the best it can be at protecting President Biden, at protecting the First Lady, at protecting President Trump, at protecting their families. That's what the primary role for the Secret Service should be. And some people have said and speculated whether there needs to be more money and more employees. As I stated early on, $3.1 billion, I believe next year it's going to be $3.2 billion budget, over 8,000 employees. If the Secret Service is spread too thin and doing things like inspecting counterfeit, which is what the Secret Service was created to do, was to inspect counterfeit money and things like that with the Treasury. If it's spread too thin, then we need to come together in Congress, and I think we can do that in a bipartisan way to narrow the focus of the Secret Service, to protect the leaders of our country, to protect our elections by protecting our candidates. And I don't believe we have any confidence that you can do that as the leader of the FBI. I sincerely hope that we would adjourn this committee hearing and have confidence not just in the Secret Service, but in you as director of the Secret Service. But we do not. Taking responsibility requires a lot of things. It means providing transparency. It means answering simple questions. It means providing a specific timeline of July 13th to this committee and the American people. I mean, it's been 9 days. There were people that were demanding that we have a hearing the next day or 2 days following the shooting. And I said, no, we need to give the Secret Service ample time to be able to answer those questions. 9 days. 9 days. And I don't think we answered very many questions that the American people have. I don't think there was I've never said this before, and I've presided over a lot of hearings. I don't think there was one question asked by anyone that the average American hasn't already asked at a diner or at church or at a ball game. The American people have questions. They deserve answers. Congress deserves answers. You were subpoenaed today to provide answers, and ma'am, you did not do that. So, as Ranking Member Raskin stated, he and I will be sending a letter requesting that you submit your resignation as a step toward accountability in what happened. And one of the biggest frustrations that many of us have, especially on this side of the aisle, is that there's never accountability in this administration. When you look at the debacles prior to July 13th. I mean, it would be hard to beat the withdrawal in Afghanistan, the debacle there, and no one was held accountable. To this day, no one has been held accountable for that. But here we have clearly video showing people notifying the police, and the police are blaming the Secret Service are blaming the police, Homeland Security is blaming everybody. But at the end of the day, after this hearing, and after our request for information, we don't have any answers for the American people, and we don't have that confidence that you can lead the Secret Service to restore the confidence. And again, I commend the ranking member for joining with me in the letter asking your resignation, and we certainly hope that you will take that to heart. With that, without objection, all members have 5 legislative days within which to submit materials and additional written questions for the witness, which will be forwarded to the witness. If there is no further business, without objection, the committee stands adjourned.
What we call a smackdown. It's not good either. You know, you can't be happy about that. It's sad. This guy's sad back here. But he was just filming it for C-SPAN. The quality was sad. I used to work at C-SPAN.
Realízame mi sueño, por favor, con el poder que hay en tu sentimiento. Concédeme la gracia de vivir la vida junto a ti, es lo único que quiero. Concédeme quedarte aquí en mi ser, que yo me quedaré contigo. Y el mundo que hoy he puesto ante tus pies, llénamelo de amor y no de olvidos. ¿Qué más quieres que venga a demostrar si por ti puedo dar la vida, mi reina, la vida, aquella que sin ti no vale ya? Mi reina, mi vida, aquella que sin ti no vale ya. Soñé que en una noche me juraba que por siempre me amaría, y la alma y el mar también se amaban, luna clara y eras mía. Y la luna y el mar también se amaban, luna clara y eras mía. Y había un velero, el mar viajero, y en su destino vamos tú y yo. Hadas padrinas, rondan mis sueños, lloran sus vidas por nuestro amor. Era un velero, el mar viajero, y el sol del alba se lo llevó, se lo llevó. Ay, Giovanni y mis hermanos le canté a la luna en tu ventana, luna clara, eras mía. Y le canté a la luna en tu ventana, luna clara, y eres mía. Y en ese sueño, el marinero, por ella me preguntó si era de Marte o era de Venus. De mi princesa se enamoró, y ahí va el velero del mar viajero. El sol del alba se lo llevó. Se lo llevó. Julio y Julio Ramón, señor Panera. Se lo llevó. Me ilusioné, sucedió al mirarte, algo tienen tus ojos, son extraños y mágicos. No me creerás, dirás que yo estoy loco, si digo que al mirar al cielo
On day one, I will sign a new executive order to cut federal funding for any school pushing critical race theory, transgender insanity, and any other inappropriate racial, sexual, or political content onto the shoulders of our children. And I will not give one penny to any school that has a vaccine mandate or a mask mandate. And I will keep men immediately, day one, out of women's sports. And I will fully uphold our very important but under siege Second Amendment, as I did for 4 years. And I got the full endorsement from the NRA. You saw that. They gave us their full, strongest endorsement. Now, for 4 years, I protected it. It was not that easy. We will protect innocent life, and we will restore free speech, and I will secure our elections. Our goal will be one-day voting with paper ballots, proof of citizenship, and voter IDs. Very simple. But until then, Republicans must win. We have to win, 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 win. We want a landslide that is too big to ring. I said it before, I'll say it 100, 200, 300 times before. A very spectacular day. You know, remember. It starts. Before the election, after the election, we're going to have one-day voting. One-day voting. What happened to those ballots that were over there last week? So we moved them around a little bit early. When you think of it, you vote 2 months early. Nobody knows what the hell's going on. Where are all the ballots that happen? Why are they using a shovel? They're shoveling off. You ever see what goes on? Take a look at what happened in Georgia. They're shoveling ballots into wheelbarrows, moving them around. If you took the 10 worst presidents in the history of the United States and added them up, they would not have done near the destruction to our country as Joe Biden and his horrible Biden administration. They're destroying our country. They are destroying our country. And you know, we get up and we have levity, we have laughter, but honestly, there's really nothing funny about it. We got millions and millions of people, many of whom are criminals and terrorists, flowing through, people from mental institutions, flowing through into our country totally unchecked. And they move many of them into hotels. Some of them are luxury hotels. Hotel owners are making a fortune. They're destroying the hotel in a certain way, but they're making a fortune. And our military is living on the street with nothing. And yet they're putting these people into luxury hotels. So if you want to save America, get your friends, get your family, get everyone you know and vote. You gotta vote early, vote absentee. I don't care how you vote. You know, they always go, sir, we have to vote early. Well, you know, a lot of times you vote early, that's good. You gotta vote, and you gotta follow your vote. Make sure it doesn't get canceled, that you can do it. Vote on election day. I don't care how you vote, you've got to vote. Vote early if you want. Everyone say vote early. Look, you got to vote. You got to get out and vote. You got to protect your vote. That's what Michael's doing. He did it better than anybody else in the country. North Carolina. That stayed right here. When Georgia went down, when Pennsylvania went down, it stayed right there. All of a sudden, in certain states, they found all these votes. A totally rigged election. We're never going to let it happen again, because this time if it happens, we're not going to have a country. We won't have even a semblance of a country left. And if you want to help us ensure election integrity, sign up. It's called protectthevote.com. Protectthevote.com. Sign up. And that's on election integrity. You got to watch and watch very carefully. So in conclusion, from Marquette to Midland, from Lansing to Flint, and from Detroit.
There's a stalled vehicle ahead.
We've had great victories in great victories. You remember when we won the state of Michigan? Now, we did much better the second time, but I won't mention that. But remember, I was at Grand Rapids and we came in and we had a crowd like nobody ever saw late in the evening. Remember that? You were there? And we had a crowd like nobody's ever seen before. I said, why would we lose Michigan? And we ended up winning Michigan. I was right. Actually, Bill Clinton told Hillary he was in Michigan. Much better the second time, but bad things happen. We're not going to let that happen anymore. We stand on the shoulders of the brave Michigan patriots and tough Michigan workers who manned the first assembly lines. You remember that? Does anybody remember that? It was a long time ago. Anybody remembers that? They're extremely old. Is there anybody that wants to admit they revolutionized industries and turned the state into a manufacturing powerhouse? I can say we're going to bring back cement. We're going to bring back all sorts. I'm just talking very simple. It's so simple. It's going to happen so fast. You're going to be at a level as though you were from 30, 40 years ago. You're going to manufacture cars again at a level that you haven't seen in many, many decades. You probably have to get rid of this fool, this stupid idiot representing the United Auto Workers, because he sells the auto. You know, I'm much more popular than anybody with the auto workers. We're going to get 95% of their vote. But they have a guy that, I mean, he pushes the electric mandate, and they're going to be made in China. They got to get rid of that guy's bad news. Your Michigan ancestors gave us Motown, the Mustang, and the might of the American Midwest, and it really is a might. They forged the steel, laid the railroads, tilled the fields, fought the battles, and won the victories that made America into the greatest and most powerful nation in the history of the world. It's true. It was the most powerful. But now we are a nation in decline, and it's a very serious decline. We are a failing nation. We are a nation run by fools and stupid people. We're a nation that has lost its confidence, its willpower, and its strength. We're a nation that has lost its way. We are not going to allow this horror to continue. We're not going to let it happen. Less than 4 years ago, we were a great nation, and we will soon be a great nation again. With the right leadership, every disaster crooked Joe Biden has created can be fixed, and very, very quickly. Every problem can be solved, and every wrong can be rectified by this time next year. America's borders will be strong, sealed, and secure. Very easily. Get ready, Tom Homan. Inflation will be in full retreat. Our economy will be roaring back. Optimism will be surging. You will have your confidence back. Confidence. It's like an athlete that can't sink the shot, can't hit the ball, lost his confidence. We're going to have you hitting the ball again. We're going to have you playing at the top of your game. The American dream will be thriving again for citizens of every race, religion, color, and creed. Law and justice will reign all throughout our land. Freedom will be restored. The flame of liberty will be burning bright. Crooked Joe Biden, the worst president in the history of our country, will be a fading memory of the past, and our great silent majority, including the once forgotten men and women of our country, will be the one shaping America's magnificent future when I am the 47th president of the United States of America. Because we are all Americans, and together we will show November 5th to be the most important day in the history of America. It will be the most important day, and when we turn it, our country's going to be great again, and if we don't turn it, our country is finished. You know it, and I know it, and everybody knows it. We are one movement, one people, one family, and one glorious nation under God, and together we will make America powerful again. We will make America wealthy again. We will make America strong again. We will make America proud again. We will make America safe again. And we will make America great again. Thank you very much. Thank you, Michigan. Thank you very, very much. Well, thank you very much. This is like a Michigan football game over here. This is pretty good. I want to thank you, JD, for the introduction. You're going to be a fantastic Vice President of the United States. And you know, I chose him because he's for the worker. He's for the people that work so hard and perhaps weren't treated like they should have been, but they weren't treated that way 4 years ago, I can tell you that. But we're going to get it back bigger, better, stronger than ever before. Thank you very much. This is something.
For me.
onto the I-140 East ramp. Slight left onto the I-140 East ramp. Continue for half a mile. Continue on I-40 for 8 miles.
¿Pero por qué? María. Ah, ya. Ah, no, yo le iba a preguntar, ¿se ve bien el live que tengo puesto? Ah, bueno, mi amor, listo. Yo, acuérdese que ahora yo tengo el... ¿Qué? Sí, sino que tengo que mirar es cómo poner la cámara para que se vea lo que yo hago y la carretera. Y también de pronto, no sé, mirar en Amazon algún otro dispositivo que sujete mejor el teléfono, que no tiemble tanto, ¿cierto? Porque es que con la vibración del camión tiembla, entonces como tengo colocado en cristal. No, porque vengo suave ahora, pero cuando cojo calle ahora porque voy todo plano ya, pero en el área de Tennessee hay mucha carretera que está maluca, ¿sí me entiendes? Entonces y más adelante siempre hay calles malucas, ¿sí me entiendes? Entonces tengo que mirar a ver en Amazon si hay algún dispositivo que se sujete mejor, que no tiemble, ¿sí me entiendes? Pero bueno. Ah, bueno, mi ching, está bien, ya comió. Ok. ¿Por qué están aguantando hambrita? Yo necesito que esas naquitas también alimentaran. Yo puse a hacer pollo. Yo puse a hacer ese pollo con zanahoria, mami. Y un poquito de quinoa que me quedaba ahí, ya se me acabó la quinoa. Sí, mi amor, está. Entonces, bueno, mi amor, está bien mi vida. Si quieres más tarde, entonces llamamos a lo del banco, o mañana, como quieras. Porque yo creo que si le dijeron que al banco, hay que llamar personalmente al banco como tal, donde fuimos nosotros, ¿sí me entiende? Porque en el papel que usted le mandaron, ¿qué es lo que dice? Que hay que llamar al banco. ¿Alguna información? Ah, bueno, entonces, bueno, mañana llamamos al banco de allá de West Palm Beach, donde yo me inscribí, y hablamos con ellos. Ellos ya me conocen a mí. Ok, mi amor. Bueno, mi ching, creo que se dañaron los audífonos porque no los he podido usar. Se escucha, pero el micrófono no funciona. no fue alcohol, fue Lysol. Simplemente para limpiarlo y ver. Pero bueno, me va a tocar por ahí pasar por un Best Buy o algo y comprar nuevos. Porque con el teléfono en el oído sí es más peligroso, ¿se me entiende? Porque toca andar, mira, ahorita ando con una mano y con el teléfono en el oído. Y pues yo necesito las dos manos en el teléfono. Ahora porque estoy en un trancón. Pero usualmente, ahora porque estoy en un trancón, pues usualmente ahorita en la montaña por allá atrás uno necesita estar con los manos. Bueno, mi vida está bien, ¿y qué van a comer? Ok. Yo necesito que ustedes tengan esa naguita bien alimentadita, ¿ok? Ok, mi ching, así que se me come una buena carne, un buen pescado, lo que quiera, ¿ok? Pero coma como una reina. Que para eso le trabajo, para que usted coma como una reina, como una diosa, ¿ok? No, imagínense que pues con las paraditas pequeñas que he hecho, yo ya llené los tanques, no me voy a retrasar, si me entiende, para echar combustible, pero si más tarde paro, cuando ya esté la comida, a comer un poquito, ahí me retraso, no, ponle que llego a las 4 de la mañana. Sí, voy a seguir derecho para entregar mañana, porque para coger carga mañana, si me entiende, para no mañana. Usted. ¿Qué van a comer más tarde? Eso no listo, mami, hágale pues. Dale, más tarde hablamos si quieres, si cuando estén acá, me llama. ¿Hasta qué hora dura esa vaina del concierto, Carlos? Dale, te quiero mucho aquí, me llama más tarde, ¿sí? Dale, sígueme por el like cuando puedas, dale, no, pues. Dale, no, dale,
There's a speed trap ahead. mile, keep right to continue on I-40. Follow signs for Nashville. Keep right to continue on I-40. Continue on I-40 for 155 miles.
has happened in the last 10 days? Nothing. Right? It's not like we've had a assassination attempt on a president, and then, you know, let's just say the person that was in charge, let's call our director of Secret Service, Kim Cheadle, who was in charge of what happened that day, hasn't visited the place. That's kind of like you're working at McDonald's and you're a regional manager of 10 different stores, and one of your employees who works the drive-by, you know, services, somebody comes and shoots at the person, and you say, you don't go visit the place. You're like, I don't go visit the place. Can you imagine you're the director of Secret Service, you don't go to that place, and a guy named Josh Hawley goes on site and tell him, no, we can't show you anything, you got to get off site. Nothing crazy, and then at the same time we're being told by Joe Biden last Thursday, look, if all of a sudden I don't feel well, I would definitely consider stepping down, and a few hours later, oh, I got COVID, and then a lady comes out and says, hey, just so you guys know, President Joe Biden has COVID. Ooh, he's going to take some rest, he's going to cancel all those travel plans, and a couple of days later we're told he is stepping away. Then through a tweet we're told Kamala Harris is going to be the one he's endorsing. Then Clinton's endorsing. Everybody endorses Kamala, except for the Obamas. Then she's finally forced to subpoena to go there to be questioned, and the questions are asked. We're going to show you some of these clips. My favorite one is when I think Marjorie Taylor Greene asks her a question about, do you have a timeline of events that took place? And her answer, you ready for what her answer is? I have a timeline with no specifics. That doesn't make sense. She says that. We'll go through all the clips. And then simultaneously, there's another recording that took place yesterday with Kamala Harris speaking, and she slips up. She's trying to say, hey, I just want to let you guys know, you know, President Joe Biden, he's always working so hard, and thank you for joining us on this Zoom. I'm sorry, what did you just say? A recording? Is this man alive? Charlie Kirk said he got a report that he's dead, and is he really dead? There's so many. Prime Minister Netanyahu comes in, nobody goes to greet him. All they send is diplomats. Kamala's not there, nobody is there, but she goes to San Francisco. Newsom is there, Janet Yellen is there. Again, a massive shit show of what America is going through right now. We got a ton of stories to go through with you. I'll give you some of them. You heard some of them that I'm talking to you about right now. Obviously, whether that surprise call was fake, we'll talk about that. An ex-Navy SEAL congressman posts video from the rooftop talking about Thomas Crooks shot Trump. There's apparently, according to CNN, audio forensics, there was 3 shooters, apparently 3 different rifles used, which we'll talk about that. Some guy from Peak Prosperity did a phenomenal job, and we'll show some of the clips from him. The Cheetah one, we'll talk about CrowdStrike. Kind of weird timing, and a few years ago, Trump even talked about CrowdStrike and what they did, and most people forgot about that. It just kind of went over their head, but maybe we'll bring that up. And then Harris said, I know Donald Trump's type, when she's speaking to this audience, and she gets this applause, and then Trump may pick Jamie Dimon, and even there's rumors of him saying he may pick Larry Fink from BlackRock, and some conservatives are sitting there saying, why would you pick Fink out of anybody? And so that's something we'll cover. Mexican president says Trump is a friend and will warn against closing border. China drops sanctions on U.S. communications firm in rare reversal. Tom's got some very interesting angle why that's taking place. We may talk about the Houthis and what they recently did, claiming responsibility for the deadly Tel Aviv drone attack. Argentina's economy expands for the first time under Malay. Microsoft lays off DEI team, including CNN. Economist warns Americans over Biden's potential tax hikes. Car repossessions up to 23%. Elon Musk said his son is dead, killed by woke mind virus. Not physically dead. He's dead because of his mind, what's happening. You have to see this clip. It's as a father, it's very challenging watching it. Donald Trump Jr. says Kamala is worse than, is even more liberal and less competent. And Trump says, tells CNN that Harris would be easier to beat. Adam disagrees with President Trump. He'll tell you why here in a minute. And then come make $100,000. The billboard says police department are hustling for recruits, according to Wall Street Journal. Renters still paying $300 more than pre-pandemic levels, and mortgage rates fall to 6.77%. Now, we got a bunch of clips to show you and timelines. A couple things I do want to tell you before we get into the podcast. You know, the last time we introduced this hat, what happened to it? Within seconds, it sold out. We ordered 1,000 of these. Like this, it was gone, and we got hundreds of emails saying, hey, I want one of these. Can you please put it back up again for us to order? So this is what we're doing just to prepare on what's going to happen. Because the Olympics are about to start, and because those of you who watch this podcast and love America, this hat says USA on the front of it. If you're proud American, you love America, sport this hat. On the site, it says Future Looks Bright. On the back, it says Valuetainment. On the side, it's got the American flag. And on the lid, it says the future looks bright. Never have we had a merch that sold out as fast as this. So here's what we're doing. That's the QR code. You go in there. We have a special USA gear, Team USA gear that is here on vtmerch.com. I'm telling you right now, when you go in there, it's going to tell you on back order, but it's going to be first come, first serve because we're ordering. There's some amounts going to go out immediately, but some of it's going to be on back order. The shirts, the hats, highly recommend during this season, the next 3 to 4 months. When you go, maybe you don't want to feel like you want to wear some other hats, but maybe you're comfortable wearing a Team USA hat. Sport that are here for you. A bunch of different things. If you can zoom in on a couple of those shirts when you order it, it says USA on the front, and it says Future Looks Bright on the back, and it's got the American flag on it as well. So again, go to vtmerch.com, place your order. Don't be one of the ones that hesitates. Order 2, 3 for your friends, your family, your peers. There's even gear for women. The last time we had some female gear that we announced, women's gear we announced, it actually went very quickly. I got a bunch of pictures as well of people. When you get this gear, sport it, tag us, we share it on the podcast while we're going through. So again, do your thing. All right, let's get right into it. Top of the story that we got to get into. I think it's fair for us to start off, Rob, with what happened yesterday with the director of Secret Service. Play some of the clips, okay? And I will tell you guys one thing here. When you see her being forced to be subpoenaed to answer some questions, there was nothing that you heard that she answered any questions. Rob, actually surprisingly so, I would like to start off with AOC. Did you guys see what AOC said about the Secret Service when she was questioning her?
No.
Can you pull up AOC? Do you have this, Rob, on what AOC said?
I'll find it.
Let me tell you, for me, you got to give credit when credit's due. I thought AOC, her opening and how she challenged her, I was so impressed, and I think you will be as well, Rob. If you have it, play this clip with AOC. Go for it.
Mr. Chairman. Director Cheadle, respectfully, what you had just laid out about 60 days. We are currently in the midst of an especially concentrated presidential campaign in the moment. That is also paired with, of course, elections happening across the country are happening in about 100 days. So the notion of a report coming out in 60 days when the threat environment is so high in the United States, irrespective of party, is not acceptable. And I think it's very important to understand that.
This is
not theater. This is not about jockeying. This is about the safety of some of the most highly targeted and valued targets internationally and domestically in the United States of America. So the idea that a report will be finalized in 60 days, let alone prior to any actionable decisions that would be made, is simply not acceptable. It has been 10 days since an assassination attempt on a former president of the United States, regardless of party. There need to be answers. Again, this party, this committee, this is not a moment of theater. We have to make policy decisions, and we have to make them now. We do.
That's right.
And that may be and that may require legislation. That may require policy that we must pass in the immediate term. And without that, we are flying blind. So the lack of answers and the lack of report is just simply not something.
I'll give you my thoughts on this if you want to pause it. Go ahead.
Oh my God. It's so hard to believe any of the Democrats because this is the first time that somebody sat in front of them that both sides, like meaning the right is being right and people on the left, this is the first time. Because by the way, she can't praise her. No matter who the Republicans put up, AOC and all these freaking leftists always bash them, from Brett Kavanaugh to whoever it is. They just try to destroy their lives. From Candace Owens, they try to destroy you. She has to say this, BBD. She has to, because it's a complete. She can't be up there and be like, no, stick up for her. She's doing her job. I mean,
Tom, what do you think?
I don't know. I don't believe her.
So I agree with the history of AOC's positions. Just grate me, and we can go down the list. And Vinny was starting. What I think I saw here was AOC suddenly got religion, and she suddenly understands how big the machine is, and she's walking in there, holy cow. You know, look at what just happened. We had an assassination attempt, we got an election going on, and I think her eyebrows popped up real high, and she's like, we need to get to the bottom of this. And I think she suddenly felt the weight of her responsibility as a representative. I don't like her positions, I don't like her theater. She talks about theater, she's full of theater. I don't care for that. But what I think she got religion, and I think she got a wake-up call. There were some other things she said about Kamala being replaced, where she actually pulled down a tweet that was critical of the DNC and her own party.
Well, let's get real here for a second. Trump should not be alive right now. Can we just take a second to recognize that Trump got shot in the face, on the ear, 1 inch over, half is dead. Trump is dead, and Biden is literally the walking dead at this point. So here you have the person who's most accountable for Trump potentially being dead right now. Kim Cheadle is her name?
Yep.
Director of the Secret Security.
Yeah,
Secret Service. And she's being grilled, now here's my point, by lawmakers on the left and the right. How often do Democrats, Republicans, far left, far right agree?
That's why it's weird.
So you can read into that whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, but they're all basically trying to hold her accountable. And I use that word for a reason, because the people grilling her, the main people, are from the Oversight Committee. We talk about 2025 is probably going to be the year of accountability if Trump is elected. We'll see what happens there. But so on the right, you have a guy named Jim Comer. He's the chairman of the Oversight Committee. On the left, you have the Jamie Raskin. I think we were talking at one point, the ranking member of the Oversight Committee. They're basically saying, how the hell did this guy get on the roof? Answer that. Peggy Mace, Nancy Mace, she was one of the people that got McCarthy out of office. Why don't we watch these? So, yeah, why don't we watch these? What I want to do is, I want to watch these, go through them. I was basically just playing AOC to just get, because Vinny was wanting to say something. I don't want to feel like we're going through the panel. Okay. Let's watch all of these and then we'll come back to it. Go ahead, Mark. Play this clip.
Why was Crooks able to fly a drone over the entire area the day of the rally and the day of his assassination attempt?
To my knowledge, he did not fly the drone over the entire area.
How did he fly a drone over the area, period? Any part of the area?
Again, I would have to go back and check the timeline of when that took place and when the event.
Why didn't you bring the timeline with you today to answer our questions?
I don't have all of the answers on the timelines based on the criminal investigation.
Were you not prepared today to answer our questions?
I am prepared to answer the questions based on the information and wanted to be able to provide.
Do you have a timeline do you have a timeline at all from any of the day?
I have a timeline that does not have specifics.
How?
That doesn't
That's shocking. That is absolutely.
And it's not funny. And
no, it's not funny. Of course it's not funny. I got a timeline here to go through. What do you mean you don't have a timeline, right? You got July 13, 510. Crooks is seen on the rally grounds, and he became a suspicious person of interest at the rally about an hour before Trump walked up to the podium. 20 minutes later, law enforcement officers spot Crooks with a backpack and a golf rangefinder. 22 minutes later, at 5:52, the U.S. Secret Service locates Crooks on the roof of a building about 150 yards from the podium where Trump was set to address the crowd. The lawmaker says Crooks reportedly accessed the rooftop by climbing up an air-conditioned unit, possibly using a ladder. At 6 p.m., that's 8 minutes later, Trump walks up to the podium at the Butler Farm show just after 6 p.m. and speaks to crowds standing on all sides of him. Minutes later, some rally attendees start pointing towards someone on a nearby rooftop with a rifle, according to witnesses' accounts. And video footage from the event, a local law enforcement officer climbs onto the rooftop and sees Crooks with a rifle. Sources told Fox News. Crooks points the gun at the officer, falls back. 12 minutes later, at 6:12, gunshots ring out from the direction of the person on the roof for about 26 seconds before the shooter's neutralized. Then you got a minute to 7 minutes later, Secret Service agents move Trump off stage and into a security vehicle. It took them 7 minutes to do it. You don't have a timeline. You're sitting. Let's continue with this, because this is going to get more and more ludicrous. Play this next clip.
Because Donald Trump is alive, and thank God he is, you look incompetent. If Donald Trump had been killed, you would have looked culpable. There is no aspect of this that indicates that there has been any protection to Donald Trump. The threat was identified before he took the stage. and the shooter was only killed after Donald Trump himself was killed. Not only should you resign, if you refuse to do so, President Biden needs to fire you, because his life, Donald Trump's life, and all the other people which you protect are at risk because you have no concept of the aspect that the security footprint needs to be correlated to the threat. I yield back.
Go to the Mace one, Rob.
Yes.
Go to the Mace one. That's the main one. Watch this.
You stated earlier, Secret Service is not political. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Would you say leaking your opening statement to Punchbowl News, Politico's Playbook, and Washington Post several hours before you sent it to this committee as being political? Yes or no?
I have no idea how my statement got out.
Well, that's bullshit. So, Mr.
Did you see the part where she says,
You're full of shit.
No, she goes, I don't know if you have this. She goes, in my 5 minutes, I will yield to you, and you can give your speech on why you should resign. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Would you like to resign now? Yes or no? And she goes,
no.
No, thank you. Oh, when you have the Democrats and the Republicans both say, listen, you gotta go. She goes, no, I'm good. Someone needs to fire this lady.
Two things. I tried looking up her party affiliation. It's not, you can't find it if she voted Democrat or anything. Joe Biden did appoint her. But guys, and Adam, you made a good point. Let's just fast forward. Donald Trump is dead right now. Guess what happens? She still goes up here. She does not get arrested. Nothing happens to her, PBD. No accountability. They're saying it's incompetence. I think it's highly orchestrated negligence. This is exactly what they do. You kill the king and everybody goes like this. No, it wasn't me. The roof was slow. He was supposed to be there. Let's put ourselves there. Nothing is going to happen to anybody because they all point and they all blame.
To me, you have one job. If, and it's an A and B thing, president gets shot, you gotta go.
Yeah.
It's that simple.
And guys, I want to
stay.
And I know people are going to be upset. I'm pretty sure you'll agree with me. This whole female, I don't give a shit. You know who I want in charge of Secret Service? An ex-Navy SEAL sniper, like people that, what the hell has she done? Has she ever served? Has she ever been in combat? This is a security job. I don't want her doing shit, and I don't want 9 short midget Secret Service girls trying to cover my crotch. Like, it's unbelievable.
I think there's something here that we really need to look at. I look at the witness, and I look at the attitude of witnesses, and I have watched a lot of congressional testimony over the years. I've also watched a lot of open testimonies from court, from mob cases. And I can tell you, this is a witness that knows she's protected, that is just defiantly looking at everybody with this FU face and giving no answers. She is protected. She reports to Mayorkas. Mayorkas is protecting her. Someone has told her, look, you're being called to the carpet on this hearing. You are going to hear it. These people are raw. They're upset. You're going to hear it from both sides of the aisle. Don't worry about it. Just get through it. She has no further career. What you just saw here is the end of a career. Where does she go after this? She has to have received a promise and protection. This is exactly the way witnesses for the state stonewall district attorneys, and they have that look on their face that they are not worried about anything, and it's defiance because they've got protection in their pocket. I believe she has received the promise of protection, and whether career continues or not is not material. You look at that, she feels like I'm cool. This sucks. This is a tough day, but I'm cool.
I've seen this.
So there's to Vinny's point about DEI hires. This is Tim Burchett.
Explosives in the sheriff's possession. Is that correct?
The FBI found explosives.
Do we know who directed this young man how to make those explosives?
I believe that the FBI is still looking into that on their investigation.
Ms. Cheadle, you said that the buck stops with me, and I agree. I don't think you should resign. I think you should have been fired. Ma'am, you are a DEI horror story. I've told my daughter multiple times, my wife and my daughter, we talk to her all the time about how she's going to succeed in life. She'll succeed in life by achieving. Ma'am, you have not achieved today. You will let the American public down. If it's up to me, you'd be gone. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
What's that line? I mean, look, Microsoft closed their DEI unit. CNN closed their DEI unit. The thing about Vinny, again, I've talked about this for a while, is in business, when you come up with a bad idea, and I've come up with many of them, you're going to, as a founder, as a CEO, you're going to come up with ideas that are just terrible. Comp plan. I've changed my comp plan 50 times until it finally worked. You know what's the great signs of a bad comp? Is the behavior of salespeople, period. So what does it mean? You come up with a bad comp plan, sales try to take advantage of, or sales try to take shortcuts, or sales try to slow down, or urgency slows down for hitting certain numbers, or compliance takes a hit, or teamwork takes a hit, or managers stop worrying about training other people. They just kind of worry about what they're doing. Your comp plan could make the leader selfish. Your comp plan can make leaders focus on helping. The comp determines the behavior, right? And then we'll come back 90 days later saying that was the shittiest comp plan we came up with. We got to make the adjustment, right? Bad policies produce bad results, forces you to make adjustments. Unfortunately, specifically the last 4 years, we can go to Obama kind of started it in 08, but it really accelerated the last 4 to 8 years, right? These DEI hires, okay, where you're talking about started off with, even on the Republican side started off with a DEI hire. You know who was the first DEI hire? Who's the first DEI hire on the Republican side? DEI. Who was the first Republican? And by the way, she's going to get upset because she watches this. Sarah Palin. Sarah Palin was a DEI hire. You mean to tell me McCain only had all these other choices? So Republicans also started this DEI hire. We can blame the other side. Guess what? Didn't work. Great. You did your governorship at, what do you call it? Alaska. Came in. Now, then who else followed the DEI hire next? Then Obama didn't fire a DEI hire. His DEI hire was a white guy. Okay? So he flipped the DEI hire. Joe Biden. Yeah, that's the point. He went with Joe Biden, right? And then you go to Trump. He picks a white guy, Pence. Like, okay, great. I need Indiana. He helps me out. Then all of a sudden, all these companies are saying, whoa, BlackRock, if you don't have this kind of stuff, we can't give you this. Then, Hollywood starts saying, hey, if you want to get Oscar being nominated, you have to have these people in the underrepresented community and all this other stuff. Then NASDAQ, right now, if you want to be listed on NASDAQ, do you know what NASDAQ asks you? Robbie, can you pull this up? NASDAQ asks you who on your board is part of the underrepresented community. Who is in your board that's either LGBTQ, black, colored, all this stuff, disabled? Who do you have on your board part of the underrepresented community? Guess what that leads to? That leads to the tax the stock market because it's a bad idea, okay? Watch this. What is the board diversity disclosure rule? The board diversity disclosure rule requires companies trading on the exchange to have a member on their board directors who identifies as female, as a member of an underrepresented racial or ethnic minority, or is a member of the LGBTQ community. Why does this matter to have it? Guess what? It's a bad idea. Now Microsoft shuts it down. CNN shuts it down. Going to seeing what's happening now. This bad idea, and by the way, if you continue listening to AOC, you know what I like what AOC said at the end? AOC at the end says, you know what my concern is? Here's what my concern is. My concern is the next 100 days, the temperature is going to go so high that if this would have happened now, in her words, America would be a different America, okay? Forget about protesting. It would have been horrible. So a part of me, the reason why I like what AOC says is for the following reason. Within the Democrats, is AOC a Republican or a Democrat? Democrat. On the Democratic Party, just like the Republican Party, Republicans have what? Rhinos. What's a rhino? Name only. Yes. Republican in name only. Yes. Right? You're a rhino. We had a couple rhinos here you went at it with, right? Yeah. Like the Lincoln Project, the community, they're all rhinos. Schmidhead. Go on the left. On the right, is Trump a establishment candidate or an anti-establishment? Is DeSantis a anti-establishment or an establishment candidate?
Probably more of an establishment guy.
He's a 50-50. He's a hybrid. He's a hybrid, right? Is Christie an establishment or establishment? Of course. Now go on the left, right? On the left, is Biden an establishment candidate? Is Kamala Harris a establishment candidate? Is Barack Obama an establishment candidate? Probably the top. Is AOC an establishment candidate? No. That's the point. Yes. So she's not saying what they want her to say. She's an anti-establishment Democrat. She's still a Democrat. She's still a socialist, but she's an anti-establishment, one that they can't cover her mouth. So she's sitting there, you know what she's thinking about? Hey man, they could do this to me one day. Because I'm an anti-establishment Democrat. I don't have their backing. I don't have their backing on what they're saying about me. So this continues, right? This continues while we're going through it. So by the way, I want to pose a question, and I'll come around. I want to get some of your thoughts. So a few theories. Rob, do you have some of the clips of that guy that sent it? I want to show this to you. This guy from Peak Prosperity, I want to get his name right. Mortensen, I want to say. Can you pull up his name? I want to get exactly what his name is. I think his name is Chris. Mortensen from Sports Center. It was something like a Mortensen, Peak Prosperity. What is the guy's name? We have to properly give this guy respect because he's done a phenomenal job. Like he put in the work. Yeah, he put in the work. Zoom in. If you go to Rob, all you got to do is go to the top and go to About. If you could go to About More, right there, you'll see his name to his Twitter account. His Twitter account goes to his name. Yeah, click on that. Go to, let's give him proper recognition. Chris Martinson. Close. Perfect. Okay. Respect to you. So what he does the following. He goes out there, and by the way, you know what no one's talked about as well? Immediately people stop talking about it. Do you know what CNN reported a day after the shooting? A day after the shooting, Rob, can you type in CNN audio forensics? Type in CNN audio forensics. You'll see on the 14th, right there. On the 14th, it says, according to CNN audio forensics, there was potentially 3 shooters and 3 weapons used. What? Did you say 3 different weapons used? Yes, potentially 3 different weapons used. This is CNN saying this, that there's potentially 3 different weapons being used. What do you mean 3 different weapons being used? This guy breaks it down with the audio, right there. Forensics and analysis suggests that as many as 3 weapons were fired at the Trump rally in Butler, Pennsylvania on Saturday. The first 3 shots considered alleged weapon A. The next 5 were consistent with alleged weapon B. Then the final one you hear is weapon C. How much have you seen the media report on this? I've never seen. Not a lot. Let me continue. Audio analysis also has confirmed that the gunman was about 360 to 393 feet from the podium, according to the forensics. Then the conclusion aligns with CNN analysis that the gunman on the rooftop was 393 to 492. This man independently goes and does his own due diligence. Have you guys seen the whole clip? I haven't seen the whole clip. Okay, I watched the whole clip. Just play this clip if you can, Rob. Go for it. Watch his shoulder. You see that? Watch his shoulder. Right? You know what he's saying? He's not pause it, Rob, so that's the audience because he's moving. What he's saying is, notice there's no kickback when he shoots. So you shot that. Watch this. This is he's not dead yet. That's the point. He's not dead yet. Watch.
There's no movement to his, like there's no movement, none. He is just dead still on that first shot. Okay? So again, I'm really concerned that what we're seeing here is those first 3 shots were not taken by that dude lying there on the roof. And again, we still don't know if that guy on the roof has even taken a single shot at all, because we have no data. The FBI is even locking out Josh Hawley, locking everybody out there, probably busy washing the roofs down and dismantling stages and taking it all apart, and then saying, oh gosh, what a shame. There's some analyses that we could do if only we hadn't done that.
Right. Can you pull up his entire audio? Can you go to Peak Prosperity and I'll tell you what video to go to, and I'll tell you what minute to go to. I want you to go to exactly 19 minutes. Go to the clip that's got 650,000 views. It's 32 minutes or something like that. That's the one. Mark targets. Let's skip this advertising by Mark. Mark, God bless. We'll skip, okay, go to 19 minutes. Go to 19 minutes. Is that 19 minutes? Okay, watch it from here. Watch this. Right? That's what I hear. Watch this. Did you get it? 351. 351. So 351. 351 in the pacing. If you can pause it, what he's trying to say is the sound doesn't match each other's pacing. First one goes pum, pum, pum. Right? So play that one more. Let it continue going. Let it continue going the way he's breaking it down.
Okay, so let's analyze this now. Let's go into this with a little bit more depth. So video 2, the way I score it, there's about 16.0 seconds from first to last shot, so very consistent with what we're experiencing on the first audio, so that's nice. They kind of line up pretty well. And here's the whole audio from all that screaming and the shots from video 2. We have in blue the first 3 shots here. We have more shots here from a second weapon. I'm not sure about this one. It has a very different sound that we heard. And here's the final last shot, which I believe is from, oops, sorry, I don't have my thing. You don't know what I'm pointing at. this is the 5 that make a very distinct sound. Here's one with a very different crack in it. That's the 6th shot in the string, and then here we have the final last one, which I think is the sniper weapon, which is probably the one that put the bullet just over the left eye of Crooks on the roof. So we're going to take a closer look at the blue, the red, the blacks here, and listen to these things. But once again, let's just listen very carefully. We'll go back and forth until you're certain of this yourself. Here's just the first 3 shots from that video. I haven't done anything, no audio, I haven't done any enhancements. This is both of these video audio pieces are exactly pulled straight from the video itself. Nothing else. I haven't boosted any, I haven't done any filtering, raw files, okay? So, and by the way, every instinct in me was to try and minimize all the screaming, but I was like, nope, that just adds, like, what did you do? And then there's questions. These are raw files. Here's 1, 2, and 3 to start. Okay, listen to that again. And one more time. Okay, now let's listen to the next string. Yeah. Hear that? Yeah. So 6 sounds different to me, but here's an interesting thing. 1, 2, and 3, besides being muffled and further away, it doesn't have echoes. Here we have, this is a shot here, this one, this peak, oh, darn it, I don't have my thing up again. Here we go. So this here is a shot. This is an echo. Very clearly an echo, and a shot in an echo, and a shot in an echo. So this is actually critical evidence, because you hear that, there's echoes coming off. So that also allows us, again, to analyze where was this gun. But first up, we just have an absolutely different sound between the first 3. There's no echo, it's much further away, it's more muffled, it's just not in the same place at all. But these next ones, very different sounds, totally different weapons. Okay, full stop, we have 2 separate weapons, plus we have no echoes coming off of the first one, and we do have echoes coming off of the next set.
By the way, this video deserves 150 million views, and the reason why I say 150 million views is because that's how many adults, working people we have in America. Everybody needs to watch this analysis, this specific segment here, because it prompts a lot of questions. You know who should be doing this? The Secret Service.
Weird, yeah, right? Weird.
So how do you process this one here?
Well, I mean,
I got another clip I want to show you, but I want you to first get the reaction to this.
I'm going to say this. I know the viewers know who I am. Everybody's thinking about it. Everybody knows what's happening. Everybody's tippy-toeing. I have the balls to say it out loud. I know in my heart of hearts, you know when you say it, Vinny, don't ever say 100%. This was a coup. They tried to kill Donald Trump, okay? The real question is who? Who gives the okay? I think the night of the debate, they saw Biden, they went, holy shit, Pat. This is how I feel. Let's do it. They know where he's going to be. They have it set up. She's in their back pocket. Just look at Kim Cheadle's face. If that doesn't have the face of anger and just hate, and that's the thing. And then think about this. Think about the balls, PBD, to do this in 2024. This is in 1963. Zapruder's not the only guy with one freaking camera. You're doing this shit in broad daylight. I think that kid, the crooks, whatever, by the way, his parents, both psychiatrists, okay? One liberal, one Democrat. That, to me, is a CIA brainwashed idiot. He comes up there, hold on, he's let up there, no camouflage, no social media. He has 3 overseas accounts. This stinks to high heaven of CIA, and he's just laying there. He probably has, he's so gone.
Let me stop you right there.
Yeah.
This is not about who's got balls, who doesn't have balls. This is about trying to be as much willing to hear both sides of the argument and being able to reason. We were just at the Yankee Stadium, we talked about this. When you say balls, that's coming from a place of pride, anger, fear, desire to be right, that's the last thing we need in America right now, okay? My opinion. You can keep this going, and by the way, a lot of people know where you are as well. You're not the only angry patriot. There's a lot of people that are angry like you and where they're at. What we need right now is to try to be as, you're an expert shooter, okay? Give us from that world. I've gone and shot with you before. Let me put it to you guys this way. When Vinny and I go shoot, I'm telling you, without even seeing us shoot, I'm a decent shot. I was in the military as well. This is me being a decent shot, and then if I was to compare me to Vinny, I disappear all the way down. Vinny goes here. That's how good of a guy this guy's when he's kind of shooting. 150 yards. How hard of a shot is that?
With the scope or not?
With the scope.
The easiest, that's a football field and a half, easiest shot.
Not a problem.
Not a problem.
Okay, so it's not like something that's a problem for them to shoot.
Yeah.
So it's like a layup in basketball. It's very. What I want you to tell me is when you're hearing these sounds and echoes and boom, boom, boom,
3 different guns.
boom, 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 boom,
Yeah.
boom, boom.
Yes.
How do you, as a shooter who's hurt, how many shots have you made in your life? How many weapons have you shot in your life? Think about all those moments of going and representing your unit in the Air Force as a professional shooter, going to contests. You were going all over the country, right? Competing. That sound, what does that sound mean to you?
Well, the first pow is somebody that's looking down the sight, breathing, because like either there's 2 types of shots: inhale, pull, like easy trigger squeeze, and then there's some people do it on the exhale. That's the first 2 sounded like someone that knows like what they're doing. The other one was just ba, 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 ba. It might have been a rifle, it might not have even been a rifle. And then the last one, that last one sounds like a high-powered rifle, like a kill shot. That's the last one. And I think he nailed it because that last shot sounds like the one that was the one that got the guy that was just sitting up there. And I know where you're coming from. My thing, and that's the forensic side of it. You just, with the timing of letting all these minutes and seconds, it's like, come on, but from shooting maybe that last shot.
Let me speculate 3 things and take it from there.
Yeah.
Okay, you ready? I have 3 things here to speculate. And we can add another one if you guys want to as well. Okay, whatever you want to add to it. The best thing about situations like this is to put everything on the table. Yeah. And I did this with Pierce. You were on Pierce yesterday. You were on fire yesterday with Pierce. Here's what I will tell you. Number 1, some people are saying this was staged by Trump to get him to, what do you call it, to help him out with the election, whatever.
Crazy.
If that's the case, do you have the picture that New York Times reported, Rob? There's a New York Times picture of a shot that misses Trump. That's right behind him. Have you seen this picture, Rob? It's the most ridiculous, insane, that one right there. That's New York Times is who shared this picture, and they posted a picture with the missing, look at that. The one that goes past them, that's a bullet. That's not a plane. That's not an alien. That's not a UFO. That's the bullet. Go a little lower so we know who reported on this picture. That's New York Times. Okay, New York Times captures this picture that they report on. So if it's staged, New York Times, who cannot stand Trump, would never post a picture like this. Number 2, the Secret Service is purely incompetent, and they don't know what they're doing. And she's a bad hire, and she's not a good leader, and she's not somebody that pays attention to details. Maybe that's what it is. Or number 3, and we can now do this, is this was intentional. How people say, when they say, do you believe the election was, there was, what do you call it? Election fraud, election interference. This last week when we were at Hamptons, you saw the Spectator magazine and media came and interviewed me, and they were asking all these interesting questions. Yeah. And he says, well, Patrick, when you talk about election fraud and election interference, I said, look, here's the first thing we need to do. I worked with about 100 Scientologists for about 5 years, okay? I actually love working with them. They were you could learn a lot about what Scientologists think about, purely from learning on what they think. One of the things that Scientologists do is, before jumping to a conclusion, actually go look at the deeper definition of a word, okay? So let's unpack the meaning of election fraud. What does election fraud mean to you, Tom?
Election fraud is a result that's been manipulated. Votes are inserted into a computer that never were voted by people. To me, that's fraud. Second, collecting all of paper ballots from an old folks' home, falsifying signatures, voting only one candidate, and then stuffing them into a collection. Those are real ballots that are fraudulently stolen and stuffed. Those things are examples of fraud.
Of election fraud. Now, help me understand this, Vinny, and this is important. What is the definition of election interference? So the difference between election fraud and election interference.
Intentionally creating a ruckus in front of a polling place and people can't walk in to vote that day. That's interference. You didn't change the votes, but you're interfering with the people's ability to get there. Intentionally closing a polling place, say there's 3 polling places, like a triangle, right. You close the one in the middle and make it very hard for the elderly or other people that are working to get to the polling place. Now you're interfering with their ability to vote, but you're not stealing the votes.
Perfect. So watch this. Whether it's election fraud or election interference, was something done to directly impact the results of the 2020 election?
Yes.
Okay.
Cheating. It's called cheating.
But here's where I'm going with this. But you have to isolate each definition. What sometimes they want to do is they want you to say, well, all these different people that came out on this, and there's nothing that happened in Atlanta and all this other stuff. That's election fraud.
Yes.
Election interference is indisputable after Twitter files and all this stuff. So let me go to my last question, and I'm going to come to you guys. One was what? Staged by Trump. Yeah. New York Times. 2, they're just incompetent, don't know what they're doing. Number 3, Secret Service either intentionally staged this, like election fraud, or intentionally election interference. They interfered with the potential protection of the president. So one can say, well, we did our best, but guess what? Don't worry about that rooftop. That is a form of interfering with protecting the president. Great. What percentage do you believe it was outlandish like the election fraud model versus no? The Secret Service knew how to get out of the way to cause something like this to happen and say, man, this is a tragic event that took place. I have to step aside, and it just kind of goes away as, you know, they didn't really do it. They just didn't get in the way. Do you know what I'm saying?
I got you.
What percentage you think there was a direct influence there?
Man, from after hearing her and the absolute debacle failure of security at the highest level for the most hated person on the planet, PBD, and because mind you, when you said fraud and interference, in the middle is cheating. So no matter who did what or what the standout order or incompetence, it comes down to they knew, so they facilitated it. I think it's 95% that, especially her, the buck stops with her. She was involved in the conversation of, you know what, don't give him that much security. That's my opinion. That's where I'm at.
What percentage you think you're there?
I'm at 90-95%.
Okay.
They were trying to do what they were trying to do.
By the way,
yeah.
So are millions of people.
Yeah.
So are millions of people. To me, the question we have to ask is, now this is the next question, Tom, and I'm going to come to you. So, okay, either they delayed Thomas Matthew Crooks shooting Trump or not shooting Trump, allowing him to go there, then trusting a guy that knows what he's doing to take that kill shot, and then allowing Thomas Crooks to take the shot that he's going to miss, and then boom, killing him, right? So we don't know how many, do we even know how many times he was shot or not? This is where I'm going to go with you, Tom. Question I got for you is, was this like 1963, November 22nd, I believe, CIA does what they did? Is this the identical playbook of the 1963 November 22nd assassination successful shot attempt on Kennedy, or is this slightly a different approach they took than the 63?
This feels very similar, and here's where it feels similar. We now have tons of photos and videos that we've gone back in history for 1963. The Secret Service guy asked to step off the car. He's holding his hands up like, wait a minute, why am I stepping off the car? We all know the images we're talking about. As the car turns, the speed of the car slows down. LBJ drops into the back seat of the car that he is in. It is an absolute fact. We have it all. So you have all of this. Wait, what's going on there? So Kennedy became a soft target when that car came around there. Now we know for fact, because we have the police radio and everything. And by the way, you can listen to the police radio now at the book depository, and they tell you you're listening to the audio of two different weapons. It even says so. So they're basically saying that it's two gunmen. So, and Oswald was, man, put under a spotlight. When he was being arraigned, a government official passed out to people at the Kennedy in Dallas, you know, the name of the supposed Soviet organization that Oswald was a part of. So here's what I see here. The 5 shots are the guy on the grassy knoll. The 3 shots is Oswald. And there's so much coverage of this kid walking around rangefinder, it's like they want us to focus on that. They want us to focus on on the kid. They want us to focus on why is he walking around? Why is he got a rangefinder? Why did he climb up there? Who let him do that? Because then what we're not talking about, we're not talking about the second 5 shots.
You're right.
And by the way, it took us 25 years before we were talking about, you know, the kill shot for Kennedy happened from the front and it was from the grassy knoll. There's no way that Oswald took that shot.
So Rob just ran a poll. Rob, can you pull up the poll? Like this is what I want to know.
It's like a playbook.
And this is our audience. If you go to PBD Podcast and the poll Rob just ran, it's got 8,000 votes, and this is what the poll looks like. The question is, do you believe Thomas Crooks was a lone wolf shooter, or was he part of a conspiracy to kill Trump? Basic question. Lone wolf, 14%. Part of a conspiracy, non-government, 10%. Part of conspiracy, government involved, 77%. That's the real question we have to ask. I want to find this out. I want to know if there was government involvement, and I think that's why AOC is also concerned, because AOC works for who? The government. The government. So which means AOC, as a leftist anti-establishment candidate, is a target for the same thing to happen to her one day. So she's coming from a self-interest place, which is good. It allows you to be a little bit more reasonable. Adam, thoughts?
I want to get back to Vinny because I have some questions for Vinny on the shooting component. Because I really like what you did there, Vinny. Angry patriot, a little angry, but then you reeled him back in, and right when you like a great insight when you were like,
you have to breathe.
Like I was like, oh, shit,
snipers don't do this.
Very interesting. Yeah. So I'm going to come back to you on this. A couple different things. This is a complete comedy of errors that could have turned into a tragedy of errors. You called it cheating. I think it's a little ironic that the person on the stand is named Cheetle. Let's just throw that out there for a little bit. To Pat's question, staged incompetence or intentional? I think our audience is onto something. I think they're a little skewed to the right here, but hear me out. Staged, 0%. You're saying it's staged. Yeah, let's just kill the firemen. Yeah. Let's just shoot some people. Yeah. Let's literally take a bullet.
Be specific. Staged meaning it was intentionally done from Trump's camp. More. And if it's really not blood, it's ketchup. It's all these theories that are coming out. It's not real.
You can throw that out. You have a dead citizen and 2 other citizens that are in there. So the last thing is, no.
That's what Joy Reid says, but yeah.
Just imagine if that was absolute insanity. So let me just give that a 0 and like 100. Correct. Absolute comedy of errors, incompetence. You know, you told me to go here, I told you to go there. Who checked the roof? Oh no, I forgot. You know, like when you leave the house, it's so simple. Hey, you locked the door? Yeah, I locked the door. Hey, what? Did you lock the back door? Oh shit, the back door. Totally forgot. Like I've worked in nightlife my whole life. Hey, do we have a VIP at the front? Yeah, of course. You know, what about the back exit? Oh, dude, no, there's a front door and a back door. So, hey, did you have him on the front? Yeah, we got him. Did you have him on the roof? Oh, I totally forgot. Absolute comedy of errors. So absolute, you called it what? Incompetence. 80% absolute incompetence. And even Jim Jordan, who's a fan of Trump, said when he was grilling Kim Cheetle, and he said, you know, how many times has he asked you for extra security? And you said no. She's like, and basically the answer was like countless times. She goes, well, what happened this time? She goes, I can't confirm or deny. He's like, well, maybe he got sick of asking.
Yeah.
And okay, so maybe he just asked so many freaking times for extra security. Like, yeah, we're done asking these people. Now to the question of whether it was interference or you called it intentional. You know, like in sports, like if you want to cheat, like you've interviewed the guy Tim Donaghy or whatever. Okay, so it's a full-on, we're cheating, we're going to lose the game, we're going to lose by 20, the line's 21, we're going to lose. Great, boom, all right, great. I don't know if that's what it was. But there's a difference between kicking in a goal, like if you're playing soccer, yeah, it was an own goal, or the goalie just kind of slipped and fell and let the defender, boom, scored a goal. So the reason I say some sort of intentionality, 20%, dude, that's a pretty high number. If you want to give an actual conspiratorial situation to what's going on here. So now whether the government was involved or whoever it was remains to be seen. But anything's on the table is my point at this point. So here's my questions to Vinny. Andrew Tate and Donald Trump actually have a lot in common, right? Because they're both on their third lives. When we talked to Tate, he basically said, everyone has 3 lives. The first life, they try to cancel you. The second line, live D, throw you in jail. The third life, they try to literally cancel you and end your life. Trump is an ear away from basically losing his life. Here's my point.
Yeah.
Back to the shots. Here's where I want to go here. Here's my first question in order. How do we know that those shots were from the bad guys versus the good guys?
Well,
So there's no way to distinguish in my, I don't know.
well, okay, until it, well, I don't know what exact weapon he had, but you can tell what an M16 is, what like a 30-06 rifle is. It's the caliber of the gun and the type of rifle. You'll hit, like, for instance, those sound like rifle shots. That sounds like an M4 or M16. It could be a handgun too. They don't know that you have to be forensics, but that last, that tap sound, that's a longer range type of rifle.
Perfect. Let's stay right here because pretend I'm basically the defense attorney. What have you? Okay, so all those sounds were collectively from good guys and bad guys. Yes or no?
Yes. We have no.
I don't want all from the bad guys, right?
No. The last one was probably a Secret Service or whoever marshal sniper killing.
The sounds we heard on that video of the gunshots in 16 seconds, I believe it was, more than likely are from good guys and bad guys.
Correct.
Okay, cool.
Right.
So,
depending on who you want to call good and who, go ahead. Yeah.
Secret Service versus the shooter. Second question. The main shooter was dead.
Main shooter. The reports are saying he was the main shooter. Other reports are saying there was somebody in the water tower. There was somebody. Yeah.
So here's my last question.
Yeah.
If there was a second shooter,
yeah,
until he was shot and killed, don't you think he would keep shooting?
What do you mean?
So my question is, so if there's a second shooter,
shooting at
whatever it is, more than likely, if your goal is to kill Donald Trump, you're going to keep shooting until you hit your target. So my question is, if there was a second shooter and Secret Service was shooting back, where's the dead body?
Okay, well,
meaning this process. Thomas Crooks is dead.
Yes.
He's the main shooter.
Nobody knows. Well, where is the second shooter? If they couldn't identify him, there could be another shooter somewhere.
If there's another shooter, they're going to shoot back at him. Let's see, he's on the water tower.
How do you know? Whatever it is. That's assuming that they are number one, given the order, or they even saw this guy. Because if you're far enough, Adam, that's a great question. If you're far enough with a sick ass gun and a dope rifle, you could be nowhere near these people and get a shot off, and then you miss because divine intervention made this guy move.
Have you guys seen that guy in the water tower that's walking?
That's the guy with a shadow figure.
So let's stay on this because I want to play this clip where he shows how hard it is to shoot 5 shots that quickly. Watch this clip in the amount of seconds that the person did it. And go ahead, Rob.
Time. Does it do it? Yeah, you betcha. Maps on perfectly. So again, audio from that suddenly. Second audio line from that link right there. Third line from that peak there.
This is the second group of, I want to go to the
I might have
5 shots.
that last third one. Don't hold me to that one. I'll fix it if it's... So get this. Here's what I want. So those 5 shots. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is mysterious because these 5 shots here, when you take a look at them from the beginning of the first shot to the beginning of the 5th shot, so that's how fast you can take those 5 shots. It turns out that the total thing is only 0.775 seconds from beginning to end. Now, as a shooter, I'll tell you, you kind of have to work at it to get 5 shots off in 0.775 seconds.
World record hold.
And you can see the splits here because the first shot was a quarter of a second, 0.256. Look at these, 0.18, 0.17, 0.15. I'm going to have to defer now. We're going to have to bring in, and I'm going to introduce you to somebody called Jerry Misolek. Because once you understand Jerry Misolek a little bit, this is just a minute, and then the other thing is just a couple of seconds.
Watch this.
I have to introduce you to Jerry real quick, because once you know Jerry, you're going to rethink about those 5 shots in a whole new way.
In 1999, they sponsored a publicized attempt by shooter Jerry Michalek to challenge Ed McGivern's speed shooting record set back in 1932. Using a Smith & Wesson Performance Center built 8-shot revolver, Michalek attempted to both outshoot McGivern and set 2 new world records. Watch how fast this guy is.
You want to film this one? Go, Jerry. Go for it, brother. He's such a
108-degree heat, I believe it was, down in Mississippi in front of a very supportive audience.
If you don't know about
He did it. I mean,
Jerry is like
8 rounds in 1 second on 1 target.
Shooter ready. Stand by.
Oh my God. He did 8 rounds on 4 targets in 1.06. And then he did the 6 shots, a reload, and 6 shots in 2.9 minutes.
This is a revolver reload. This isn't taking a mag out. This is a revolver. Oh my God. All right.
Hey, listen, we have no problem here.
Where's Jerry right now?
Hang on.
Question.
Let him continue. Watch this.
Turns out Jerry just happened to have a video out there showing how fast he could shoot 5 shots out of an AR.
This is the point
So
he's
this
trying
is
to
the
make.
world's fastest. Let's start here.
The 55 is kind of slow at this range, so I'm going to listen really good for that timer, get in the center and punch out 5. See if we can make
This
it under
person that shot those 5 shots is not a
Is this semi-auto?
Watch this.
No, that's not. Yeah, that's
So that was a little bit better. You saw how I was punching out right on the timer there? Let's take a look at it. A .96. Made it that time pretty easy, so. All right, 96 we had. A 15, a 12, a 13, a 12. So we're running good splits. We made the time pretty easy. Go back and look at that again. Total time of .96 hundredths. Let's go down range, take a look at it. Okay, guys, we're a little over 5 yards here. Runs out 5 rounds at .96 hundredths of a second. Let's take a look at them. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. I got a little bit excited here on the last one. I started raising my head up. So, but they're all in the A box, they're all right center. Some of the A box.
Seriously.
But I know you're not happy with that. I'm not either. We're going to make it a little bit harder. We're going to go ahead and put 3 in the A and 2 in the head and try to keep it in under a second. So I'm going to react. 3 in the body, 2 in the head in under a second.
I'm Lily, a content creator.
You can. By the way, you know what he's trying to say? What he's trying to say is that what just happened has to be done by an absolute professional.
Oh my God.
That did that, right? Go ahead, Adam. You.
So ultimately, what I'm saying is, if those shots are from the bad guys, and it's not this crooks phenomenon, that there's somebody out there running around. This is like a Harrison Ford fugitive movie, who's should be tried for attempted murder of Donald Trump, but he's still running around.
Yeah.
Is what we're saying. Yes.
Well, meaning there's probably
There was another shooter
for sure. Maybe
whoever, wherever.
Yeah.
That hasn't been caught.
Hey, Ron, do you have that clip of the guy on the water?
Yes.
And and Pat, while he's looking for it, Adam, and great point when you were talking about the front door and the back door, and I asked the who. If somebody, Adam, your neighbor, broke into your house and stole jewelry, then he stole your car, then he stole your lawnmower, okay? Then at the end, the house gets burned up. Who are you gonna think it is? Your neighbor. So impeachment, Russia, this, his bank account, and then they try to assassinate, and people are like, so you think
I think what we're getting at is this, and I'm going to use an example.
Watch this. Watch this.
Okay.
Watch this. Watch this.
That chart's a couple of months old, and if you want to really see something that's sad, take a look at what happened.
oh, that's somebody.
And then what does he do? Why does he? Watch this.
That looks like a human being to me.
Oh, there's no question.
Comes out of nowhere. Comes out of nowhere. So I don't know.
You said
that guy just
you said this the other day, Pat. What does the magician do? Hey guys, look over here. Oh, Pat, I got your watch.
That's right.
So if this Crooks wasn't the guy, can I have this? This is a heavy watch.
Go ahead. Yeah.
If he wasn't the guy, maybe there's something over here.
Maybe.
By the way, I don't think that is a conspiracy. We gotta find out what the hell's going on here.
Well, I mean, but people, listen, you know what bothers me? When you say the word conspiracy theory, it's automatically, oh my God, a conspiracy by definition, the action of plotting or conspiring. Why is that such a, you hear that word, which was brought up by the FBI made up conspiracy theory because of the JFK assassination. Why is it so outlandish to believe that these people want to take out this guy?
I think
it's not that
the problem that maybe people have with that word is when you give a conspiracy that maybe should be 10%, 20%, 1% a chance, and you're like 100% of a conspiracy. That's where people have a problem. In this situation, I gave it a 20% chance that there's something going on.
I'm going to go to Tom. Go ahead, Tom.
So most of the time these things come out very simple. Once upon a time, we thought, well, it's the Cubans are still upset at JFK. They did it. Sam Giancana was still upset at JFK. LBJ was upset at JFK. And there's this big cloud that was created to say, oh my gosh, all these people could have had motive. And at the end of the day, it was very simple. Allen Dulles and LBJ, all the evidence points to them. Someday we'll see the documents, but everybody seems to agree that those are the two that did it. You only need one or two CIA agents to work with you to do what they did. Put the guy in the grassy knoll, frame Oswald. Very and to your first point, that you said, why wouldn't the guy keep shooting? No, he was. If this water tower is shooter number 2, we have audio for shooter number 2. We don't know who shooter number 2 is, and we don't even know if the audio shooter number 1 is Cooks on the roof. We can go take the 2 weapons we have, the sniper weapon that allegedly took the kill shot, and the weapon that was taken from the roof, and we can go fire those, and we can get ballistics, and we can get audio signatures, can we not? 1,000%. Which is exactly what they did with Oswald. They fired that gun into a water tank, retrieved the bullet, and then took the bullet that was in Connolly's thigh, and we went out and compared them and said, well, guess what? This one came from Oswald's gun. This gun was found top of the repository. So Oswald did fire at least one, goes to a police hearing, and was executed. Yes, he was executed by Jack Ruby. So usually things are simple. And it just feels to me that there's a grassy knoll that was a professional shooter that was able to get off 5 shots.
How does a professional shooter miss? That's what's called God intervenes. Because God, listen, say what you want. That head movement, you cannot, listen, Adam, and I totally believe that. Even if you're that nasty from that far away, all it takes is one movement and then you're down. And then they kept them on stage. But Pat, can I ask you one quick question? Donald Trump actually gets assassinated. He gets killed, all right? Is Joe Biden still running for election? Be honest, even though they're saying he's sick or whatever. Is Joe Biden still in and Kamala's not doing her thing?
Of course he is.
Okay, of course he is. So that's the plan. That's the plan. That was it. Because now they're like, okay, done with him, and now it's on to Kamala.
Yeah, the third term of Obama would be continuing.
Let me read this for you. Okay. How many nowadays when you see cops, what do all cops have when they pull people over?
Video camera, GoPro.
What kind of cameras do they have? They have cameras on what?
Body camera. Body camera.
What else do they have? The camera?
On the cop car.
On the cop cars.
Yes.
Why do they have those cameras?
To prove and to protect them and to protect the citizen.
Perfect. You ready for this?
Investigation.
Butler County Sheriff's deputies have said that their body cameras were turned off and there is no footage available from the incident. How the hell is this possible? Let me read it to you one more time. Butler County Sheriff, this is from the Gateway Pundit. Greg Smith is reporting on this, key witness. Butler County Sheriff's deputies have said that their body cameras were turned off and there's no footage available from the incident.
Hold on.
That doesn't cause and cause some asking some questions.
Cheadle told Congress that there is no radio recordings from the Secret Service that day.
What is
she said that? One of the few things she said, I do not have the radio recordings of the radio chatter.
Well, those are. Here's the question: is that you have to have your body. When else were you told to turn your body cam off? Oh, it's never happened before. Okay, why the hell? I go back to every single other rally. Were you told to turn off your body camera? Yes or no? Those are simple questions. Well, here's the thing though. When there's an interaction, when there's something that's happened, your body cam, you're supposed to turn it on. If you're interacting, you're going to the guy, you're going to the room, it has to be on. If you're directed, do not turn them on. That's a whole different situation.
Let's go to the next thing. Let's go to the next. So now we've done our own amount of questioning and just beyond regular people like yourself watching this. So now I got some questions. I want to know what's going on. This next thing I want us to talk about is the sequencing of President Biden saying if I'm sick and all this, and then Kamala endorsement, who does not. I want to go through that process next. In a video that we just saw, slips out and says something very weird. And by the way, again, an image and a video clip showing how Simpsons got it right again with the exact dress and the exact necklace, which you're going to sit there and say, how in the hell are the Simpsons running the world? Is that what they're doing? But before I do so, I do want to tell you one thing that's going on. We run a consulting firm called at David Consulting. You can go to david.com. We do engagements for about 5,000 businesses from 60 plus countries on many different areas. If you want to learn more about it on david.com, there's a 20-minute video at the bottom that'll break it down for you. However, next week, Rob, on Tuesday, I am running a free webinar at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's a private one, but it's a free webinar about AI.
There's a speed trap ahead.
How many businesses, how they're using it, who's not. There's a lot of fear in the marketplace right now. What's going to happen with it? When we were at the Yankees event this past week, you were there with us. What was the most common question people were asking? Those hedge fund managers sold their business for a few $100 million. Guys in the AI space, guys who owns 18 McDonald's, who does nearly $100 million a year. From many different walks of life, everybody was asking about two things. One was what's going to happen in the grid. The other one was about AI, and how it's disrupting different industries. On July 30th, next Tuesday, 6 p.m., I'm going to give those who attend a white paper with breakdown of what you can do for your business, as well as a nearly an 80-page PowerPoint of research. We put hundreds of hours into this to those who attend. If you have not yet registered for it, go on that QR code, register for it. There's only going to be 3,000 people that are going to be online. And right now we have nearly 20,000 people that have registered for this. I highly recommend you register for it. And make sure you put in your calendar and get on 15, 20 minutes before, because the thing's going to get filled up very quickly. So that's the QR code. Get registered. We'll do that next Tuesday at 6 p.m. July 30th. Now, President Biden comes out last week and says, I would consider stepping down if something were to happen to my health. A few hours later, I have COVID. A couple hours later, a lady at an event comes out saying, unfortunately, he's going to have to cancel all his plans. He won't be here with us because he has tested positive, and he's canceling all of his, responsibility, all of his travel, speaking, everything. This is during election season, at the peak of it, which they're less than a month away from the DNC. Who does that? He does that. And by the way, this isn't COVID of 2020. This isn't getting COVID of 2021. Nowadays, how many people even say I got COVID? I don't even know who says they got COVID, but apparently our president got COVID. He's the leader of the free world. He's got COVID. The rest of us are just getting colds and flus. But it is what it is. I digress.
There's a speed trap ahead.
And all of a sudden, we get news that President Biden has decided that he's not going to be running for re-election. The letter comes out, everyone's reading it and reporting on it. We're at this place called Kelly's at Hamptons getting a sandwich, and the lady's next to me, and I said, did you hear the news? She says, what happened? He's not seeking re-election. No way. Yes. Boom. Right afterwards, a tweet. And Jill and I have decided to endorse Kamala Harris. Then, a couple minutes later, Clinton's endorsed. AOC endorsed. Almost everybody endorses, and Obama's put out a tweet. But the only thing that the tweet put out, the tweet was about how great of a citizen Biden has been, the 50 years of service, but it's not an endorsement that takes place. Then, everyone's waiting for him to give a report. All of a sudden, Charlie Kirk has a tweet that comes out. Rob, if you can pull up the tweet. Charlie Kirk tweets saying, I got a source from the inside telling me that President Biden is potentially dead. What? Yes. That President Biden is potentially dead. Now, Rob, Charlie tweets a lot, so you got to really go back to find it. I don't know when it was, but it's got to be right after the announcement that's being made that he is dead. Anyways, if you find it, I'll read it to you. Is that it? Okay. Is that the one, Rob? Got a weird lead on a story that should look into. People should look into. I got a call from a source close to Vegas Metro. The official story was that Joe Biden's trip was cut short from last week due to COVID. However, according to the source, U.S. Secret Service informed Las Vegas Metro that there was an emergency situation involving Joe Biden and closed necessary streets so that President of the United States could be transported immediately to University Medical, which they began to do in earnest. Then mysteriously, there was a stand-down order, and the U.S. Secret Service informed local Vegas PD that they were going to medevac President of the United States to Johns Hopkins, which they presumed meant fly him back east ASAP, Baltimore. Apparently, the rumor mill in the police department was that Joe Biden was dying or possibly already dead. I didn't think too much about this lead, seemed too wild to be true, but given that Joe Biden has been out of public sight for days and dropped out of the race via an ex-post, and his brother James indicated health was a factor. I'm beginning to grow more curious if COVID or something else has been more serious than reported. If anyone in Las Vegas Metropolis has a send him an email. Now watch this. This happens. Then yesterday, Kamala is doing a campaign trail out there kind of talking and all this stuff, and she starts talking about the president. You know, he is so amazing. We have such a, people don't know, we love him. We have such a great relationship. Rob, is this the clip that you have? We have.
This is the recording part of Kamala's speech yesterday.
Is this the part where she says, recording the slip up?
Yes.
Is this the slip up? I want you to see this and tell me if this is a little weird to you. Go ahead, Rob.
She says we talk every day.
So good to hear our president's voice. Joe, I know you're still on the call, and we've been talking every day.
Do that again, Rob. Go back again. Okay, watch this, folks.
It is so good to hear our president's voice. Joe, I know you're still on the call, and we've been talking every day. You probably even heard from Doug's voice. We love Joe and Jill. We really do. They truly are like
nobody believes you.
And we do everybody.
Now watch this.
I knew you were still there. You're not going anywhere, Joe. I love you, Joe.
How weird, when you're following all of this stuff, how weird is the sequence of events that took place just in the last week?
The sequence of events, so let's start with Biden. The disappearance of Biden, I mean, we can call it that. He has not been seen on camera. He's not been anywhere. And they've made great pains to show him, like when he'll just walk along the back from the Oval Office to the executive residence, back of the White House, you know what I'm talking about? You see him walking along there, just kind of waves, that stiff walk going. So they've taken great pains to show him at times, but all of a sudden, he's simply gone. Completely gone. Las Vegas, events shut down. He's back to Washington. Oh, I have COVID, and he's gone. He's gone from public view. And there's no official statements out there, and all of a sudden this letter comes out. So the sequencing from Kamala's speech on the campaign trail there to the weird recording all the way back, it just reeks of weirdness. It's not normal. It's not even the way the campaign was managing it or the handlers were managing the president. To me, that thread was very, very weird, very odd, very unexpected. It brings me with a lot of questions.
By the way, this report that just came up, Mario in the fall, Rob, if you want to pull it, Vinny just texted it to me. Rob, if you can pull up that report from Mario. Mario just sent this 30 minutes ago, and it's a report showing Biden expected at the White House this afternoon, despite all speculation about his health. Biden is scheduled to arrive at 2:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. According to his official calendar, he's due to depart from Delaware at 12:30 to begin his journey to D.C. Here's a calendar: in town, pool, call time, 10 a.m., 12:30, official schedule. The president departs Delaware en route to Dover, Delaware. The president arrives in Dover. The president departs Dover. The president arrives Joint Base Andrews. The president departs.
In 400 feet, use the middle lane to turn right onto South Jefferson Avenue.
Now, again,
At the light, use the middle lane to turn right onto South Jefferson Avenue, then make a U-turn at South Walnut Avenue.
The president's doing fine, at least now, when he's back to work. Adam.
Well, look, it's all fun and games with the stories and all that, but that's where you start to lose some people when, I love Charlie Kirk, he's incredible, but the president is dead. Believe me, there's going to be process in place where Kamala is then basically becomes the president like that. We saw the video of when Joe Biden was sworn in as, was it senator at the deathbed of, what was it? What was that video again?
Senator in January.
His family was in the hospital. His family was in the hospital.
In 600 feet, make a U-turn at Bunker Hill Road.
Family after his wife
died on December 18th in his daughter.
There's not going to be 1 second in our country. Thank God that we have a system in America that the banana republic that people talk about. God forbid something happened to Joe Biden, Kamala Harris would be sworn in like that. So the concept of, was it a record?
Continue on I-40 for 74 miles.
Until we actually see otherwise, Joe Biden is alive.
Yeah.
He's an old, sick man.
Yeah.
Basically recognizing, listen.
So you think Biden was on that call? You don't think that was a recording?
I think basically when he kind of was like, the feeling's mutual, love you, kid.
Can you do me a favor, Rob? Can you go to Valuetainment Russian? Let me tell you how advanced technology is today, Mr. Adam Sosnick.
Yeah.
So Valuetainment Russian. Hang on. Just go to Valuetainment Russian. Okay. Go to the channel. We have, go to videos. Click on videos. All right. And actually go to Shorts, Rob. Go to Shorts and go to the second one. Right there. Watch this.
This is Pat Fluent.
Знаете, 9.11, если вы скажете, что это часть мы знаем, что история — это негативная сторона того, что было сделано, потому что США обвинили оружие массового поражения. That's not me. But the reason why I'm showing you this is to understand the level of AI that we have today is capable of doing a lot of weird things. This is Valuetainment Spanish, if you're wondering. Go to, first of all, let's hear Tom.
Tom's so good.
No, go back, because it's all of them are reactions.
Look at Tom.
Los bienhechores creen.
Yo tenía un sueño, y ese sueño era jugar
Not speaking Spanish.
fútbol. Jugué en la Universidad de Miami. Mi objetivo era jugar en la
You can skip that. Maybe it's okay. Don't worry about any of these, right? So the point I'm trying to make to you is that the concept of AI today. There was an AI going around the other day showing pictures of Al Pacino with a young Al Pacino, Tom Cruise with a young Tom Cruise, and it was a video of them leaning on each other. Rob, I don't know if you saw this or not. It was absolutely insane on how real it looked. Okay, it was so weird. Everybody was reacting to it. Many things, I'll find it right now here in a minute while we're going through it. So they're capable of having that. Going back to the question, do you think that was a recording, or do you think that was actually live Joe Biden speaking?
Well, you speak Russian very well. Yo soy un gringo de Miami. Mi habla español muy bueno porque mi viva en Miami.
I'm from Miami and I speak Spanish.
Yeah, my wife was from Miami and I can speak Spanish because yo quiero hablar con los caliente chicas in Miami. Okay, we understand what's going on here. But the point is this: I understand about AI. I understand what's going on out there. I'm in the camp that actually thinks he's just an old, sick, feeble man in bed with COVID.
So you think he was on the Zoom? That's what
I think so.
Okay, got it.
So well, and again, we'll follow the little movements and little things. Did you notice that the presidential functions are being delegated to the Secretary of State and the Secretary of Treasury? And this happened on, Tom, you said something about the date being, it was registered on the 5th?
Yeah, there's one document on the 5th, one document on the 22nd.
And this basically said there's a memorandum of delegation of certain functions and authorities under the Rebuilding Economic Prosperity and Opportunity for Ukrainian Acts. This basically says the authority is basically given to Anthony Blinken and Janet Yellen. So why is he giving up powers to the Secretary of State and the Secretary of Treasury if he's doing great?
Do you think he wasn't on the call? Is that what you're saying?
For me, I'm speculating why she would say recording instead of a Zoom. Why that slip up and the immediate correction? So what if it's a recording? Just say it, it's a recording. Why did you correct yourself the way you did?
What do you mean by recording?
Yeah, Adam, what I'm trying to tell you is I can right now have AI match your audio perfectly, and I can make a phone call to your mom, and we should actually do this. I can make a phone call to your mom and tell the phone what to tell your mom, and your mom will have a 5-minute conversation with me thinking I am you, because I'm speaking to an AI. If you want to do this test, we can do this test.
Let's do it. My mom will love that.
That is available today. All I'm saying is there's a possibility that AI was used for that. If there wasn't, why don't you show your face? How hard is it to do a Zoom? Why don't you get on a video? How hard is it to do that part? Am I allowed to ask questions like that? Is it that complicated to do that? It's not a tough question to ask.
Perfectly valid questions. Of course, there's the AI that potentially.
The world wants to see your face. How many times has something like
he had COVID?
First of all,
he looks like shit.
In the sequencing, if I'm sick, I'll step down. Few hours later, I am sick. Cancel all the plans. A couple days later, I'm stepping aside, I'm not running. Couple hours later, couple minutes later, I'm endorsing Kamala. The sequencing, if a president in the history of mankind, there's never been a time this late in the campaign for a president to step down. There's never been a time. You know all this stuff they claim, the fact that there was election interference in 2020? This is the first time that a political party not only interfered in elections against their opponents, but they actually interfered with elections with their own candidates.
Yeah.
That's the part where they're interfering and saying, step aside, Kamala, come in. The establishment is saying, step aside. That's what people are speculating. Tom.
Well, yeah, and then they say, Trump's a threat to democracy. Wait a minute. What about all those people that voted in all those states and all those primaries for Joe Biden? That's called democracy in action. And now the invisible hand comes up and does it? No. my assessment is I do not think he was on that call. I think it was a recording that for whatever reason he couldn't be on the call. Is he going to walk off the helicopter? Because that timeline we saw there culminates with him from Andrews to the White House will be a Marine Corps One, which is the big helicopter. He'll get off the helicopter, walk into the White House, wave to the reporters, or it's the body double wearing the Ray-Bans. So that's what we expect to see today. But that, why would they have to do that? And I'm with Pat. I don't like the sequencing, and it seems like if he's really sick, if he was really down for the count, or if he had a minor stroke, whatever those things, that was a recording that they used AI or an old recording, and Kamala Harris just blew it. That's what I think.
Tom, you're pretty low.
By the way, you know who else agrees that she blew it? Mayor Brown. He also, well, go ahead, Vinny.
Jesus.
No, go ahead, Vinny.
Our hardest working shoulder blades of politics.
Go ahead. What's your...
So if it was AI, I guess what's the problem? Meaning, can we all acknowledge that Joe Biden is not doing well? Can we just acknowledge that? Right? There's no, we're all saying the same thing, but what's the point? Even if it was, you're saying he was sick and he didn't want to go.
What's the point? They deceive the American people while she's making a speech and it's a recording of our president. Then how many other times are we going to do that?
Listen,
to deceive the American
people?
When
you have kids,
where does it stop?
When you have kids and your kids get older, they become more and more clever on how they try to sometimes deceive their parents, right? And they indirectly train you. This is like the level of cleverness on what they're doing here is so amateurish. It's like the way I do magic for my kids. Brooklyn is starting to find out exactly how I do magic nowadays. I can't even get full Brooklyn. I did this trick to Brooklyn. She knows exactly what she's doing now. Let me just see if I have a small little thing here for me to do. Okay, I typically do with my earpiece. You ready?
Yeah.
I go like this with Brooklyn. So first of all, you start off with the lowest level of magic, which goes like this. I say, Brooklyn, watch this, which hand? And then I go like this, which hand? She says this. I open, I said, oh my God. And then I said, look at Vinny. And she looks at Vinny, I said, which hand? Oh, wow.
Daddy's a magician.
So then we go to the second level of amateur. Hey, look at this, look at this, look at this, look this. Okay, which hand, right? This one's a little bit more complicated because you have to go find the earpiece, right? So fathers, when you do that, it's additional work. And then you go like this, and Brooklyn's like, no, it fell behind you. That's what the government's doing to us. Hey, where is it? Bam! Yep. Look at this. Oh my God, he is sick, and let me fall for this. Come on, man, give me a flipping break. At least fool us in a better way than this. Show me something that is a little bit more, creative than this. I'm a little bit disappointed. I was hoping, but we predicted this a year and a half ago on the podcast. I literally walked through the process of how it would happen and what would take place, and that's exactly what they did. Give us a better playbook. They could have done so many different creative ways. And part of me is disappointed because I've been watching so many shitty movies over the last few years. I was hoping this would be a good storyline to watch a good movie in the next 3 to 5 years. They missed their mark. They missed the opportunity. I simply wanted a better movie than this. Anyways.
Pat, can I say one thing really fast too? So this was on day two. This is kind of breaking. I sent it to Rob. On day 2 of the Trump assassination hearing, the heads of the Secret Service, FBI, and Homeland Security declined to testify before the committee. Go figure.
We have breaking news. Pat can't find the
I told you. You found one?
Okay.
Right. But so people didn't...
Remember, if you do that with your kids, it could cost you $269 to the Apple Store.
The Secret Service, FBI, and Homeland Security they declined to testify today in front of the Congress. Isn't that weird? After they saw what she did, they're like, no, we're declining to testify.
They weren't looking at her. They were looking at the bipartisan.
Oh, they'll be subpoena, but isn't that a subpoena? They're declining. But I would just ask, who's the FBI that was up there spraying the roof? Who's that guy?
What is this, Ron?
This is the Fox News breaking alert.
Go ahead, let's hear it.
Secret Service security failures under a microscope on Capitol Hill again today. The House Homeland Security Committee is holding the second congressional hearing looking into the attempted assassination of former President Trump. But for today's hearing, heads of the Secret Service, FBI, and Homeland Security have all declined to testify. We are listening to it. We will bring you the news from it as it breaks.
Guys, why would you decline? You work for the government. You work for us. We just want to ask, some questions. Like, what guy, Rob?
According to NBC News,
she just resigned.
Yeah, 55 seconds ago she resigned.
She just resigned.
She should. And she would have done it.
Oh, my God.
Yep.
Wow.
Plot thickens.
Yeah, guess who's going to take her place? Rosie O'Donnell. That's who's going to take her spot. Rosie O'Donnell's going to take the freaking mantle.
Melissa McCarthy.
Yeah.
So, here's a tweet, Pat. Well, if it's a short president, he'd be safe.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow. Wow. Go ahead, Adam. You were going to say something.
Well, I think she should resign. So this to me is breaking news, but not shocking. I said earlier in the podcast, you have one job, protect the president. The president got shot, you'll lose your job. And thank God that it's only his ear, because if it was in the middle of his head, we'd be doing a funeral this week.
Yeah, and guess what would happen, Adam? Guess what would happen? Today, she would have resigned, and that was it. And then she's not going to go to prison. She's not going to go to jail. That's it. It's the end of the story. It's over.
So,
next.
Pat, maybe I'm just not fully following the magic trick. Kamala president. Kamala, Freudian slip. Kamala is going to be the candidate for president on the Democratic Party.
She got
yes?
delegates. Yeah, she got the votes. Yeah.
Is that basically what the magic trick is?
I'm not.
You're not fully convinced yet, right?
No, I'm not, because I don't think that's the right. Look, let me ask you a question right now. Let's go back. Let's go back 5 months. Okay. If 5 months ago I said to you, actually, no, let's go back 5 months. I say to you, what month is it? Yeah, 5 months will be what? February. I say to you, hey, just want to let you know, they're going to silence Trump and only give him 1 day a week to campaign. It's Wednesdays. Number two, they're going to say Mar-a-Lago is only worth $18 million. Okay? And even though he paid all his debt and everything, they're going to say it's only $18 million. Number three, a woman's going to come out saying that Trump raped her, and she goes on Anderson Cooper on CNN, and Anderson Cooper asks what's rape, and she says, do you think rape is physical? I don't think. I think rape is a fantasy. And then she says, I am fascinated by you, Anderson. And Anderson says, yeah, we're going to have to go to a break, okay? Then Trump is asked to pay $83 million for that. Then, for all the businesses he's done, Trump is asked to pay $430 million and put up 10% bail, whatever the number is, right? Then, fast forward, while all this stuff is taking place, he's going to be, guilty, all this stuff. Okay. And then, while he's going through the process he's going through, Trump is giving a speech. He has an assassination attempt on him. Then, after the assassination attempt, the Secret Service comes out and tells us we're not going to find out for another 60 days of what happened. Then the director of Secret Service doesn't visit the property at all to see what's going on. Till today, hasn't gone there. Then, a few days later, we're told by Biden that if he's sick, he's going to step down. Previous to that, there's a debate that takes place that Biden, within the first 10 seconds, we all looked at each other saying, this is over with, the debate, right? That's June 27, which is about a month ago, give or take. Then, Biden steps down. Then Kamala Harris is the candidate. Then Director of Secret Service resigns. Do you know how many things have happened just in the last few months? And you want me to sit here and believe? Yeah. Kamala's going to be... this is honestly, this is so embarrassing. People around the world are watching saying, I can see if something like this happens in Venezuela. I can see if something like this happens in Russia. I can see if something like this happens in Iran. I can see if something like this happens in many different countries. To America? Yeah, we're living in a movie right now, guys. We are living in a movie. There's a story that Kelly brought up to me on the number of movies that's CIA funded or somehow, some way influenced, Rob? Can you pull up the story about number of movies that CIA funded or, influenced, okay? Where they're trying to do like, what do you call it? Propaganda type of movies, right? Well, here's really what happened, to kind of retell history in their own way. We just watched this movie, Fly Me to the Moon. Do you know what the whole story of Fly Me to the Moon is, Rob? Go to the movie Fly Me to the Moon. They spent $100 million on this movie called Fly Me to the Moon. It's Channing Tatum and Scarlett Johansson. They actually did a very good job in the movie. I thought the actors did a good job. Adam, do you know what this movie's about? This movie is about the fact that CIA comes and finds a con woman, which is played by Scarlett Johansson, to stage the moon landing. That if we don't land on the moon, we have to have footage to post that we really did land on the moon because we have to do before Russia. That's what the movie is about. And do you know what they show at the end of the movie? At the end of the movie, the story is that we really did land on the moon, that we didn't need to use the fake footage. You can't even Tom, am I off base with what I'm saying with this movie?
Not at all.
No? So you see, this movie, first thing I do is I go out there and I say, who funded this? Is this a CIA government funded? Who the hell did this movie? When you watch this movie, it makes you question even more if we landed on the moon or not, right? We are living in Twilight. What was it? Twilight Zone, right? We're living in such weird times that for me to say Kamala Harris is going to be their candidate, now I'm not there yet. By the way, I want to go through 5 other stories because we've already hit the Cheetle and this. So if you want to finish up your thought, I want to transition.
I actually want to tell you why I totally understand what you're saying, but also why the movie makes so much sense. Why do I think Kamala Harris is going to be the candidate? Because we're living in the age of DEI, guys. We just spent an hour talking about DEI, so let's go there. DEI versus MEI, which is a new term we've learned. DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion. Okay. We can make a whole case for why Kamala Harris is getting anointed, or there's a coronation for her to become the president. Say what you want about Donald Trump. He spent 40 years in television, media, and real estate and earned one by one, knocking down every single candidate in 2016 to MEI, merit, excellence, and intelligence. I've got the smartest brain, earned his right to be there. So the thing with DEI and the problem is that, you're elevated to a position that you may not be worthy of, or you might not have earned. So it's indicative of Kamala Harris right now. Just look at her track record, bro.
Indicative.
There you go. Number one, she was, she worked for the Willie Brown and the
indication. But you're right. But keep going.
Yeah, please. So, the whole coronation of Kamala is we're living in DEI now. She was working for Willie Brown.
Tell me where you're going, because I'm trying to go to the story, bro. Like, tell me what it is. I got 5 more stories on a flight to catch.
I've already told you.
Tell me.
It's a DEI selection. What don't you get? You're saying she didn't earn it. She didn't earn it. She's being installed as the president. Why? Because we're living in an age that they want to tear down the patriarchy. Is there any more symbolic person of the patriarchy than Donald Trump? They're basically saying they're giving a woman who was never elected to be the president. She ran for president in 2020. How'd she do in the polls? 1%? She didn't earn this selection. They picked her to be the VP because she was 2 things: a black woman.
So in other words, this is how I'm interpreting what you're saying. And correct me if I'm wrong. So she has your vote.
That's not what I'm saying at all.
That's what I'm reading from it.
No, that's not what I'm saying at all.
You're supporting her. You're like, you're excited about her.
No, you're trying to be funny. I'm trying to tell you that she's a DEI selection, and that I would never vote for Kamala Harris. 100% would not vote for her. After Trump got basically shot in the face, there's a lot. I was like, dude, this guy's got my vote. The fight thing. I think he even earned Mark Zuckerberg's vote. Mark Zuckerberg. But in 2016, she stepped in for Barbara Boxer. 2020, she was chosen by Biden as a VP. In 2024, she's going to be selected by the Democratic Party. She'll be the candidate. She didn't earn any of this. She's been selected. It's a coronation.
Okay, let me go through.
She didn't even think this. You've been thinking that it would be Biden all the way. They're riding with Biden. And because it's official now, I will say that your ego wrote a check that Wounded Warriors is going to cash. So you've got 1,000. $1,000. $1,000.
I want 100. I want $100.
By the way, I put 1,000 of my own up there if I had lost the bet. So I had in my mind had that. So I'm giving the 1,000 that I would have given to Adam, and the 1,000 from Adam. Wounded Warriors is getting 2,000.
I agree. Well, everything changed the night of the debate. Nobody saw that coming. They wouldn't even let him go on stage if they saw that coming. So you're acting like you guys all have a crystal ball. The day that Joe Biden
and you do?
No, nobody does. But that at least the humility to say I don't know for sure.
So is there no chance?
Yeah, but we both felt convicted enough to make a bet. What's this? I don't know for sure. Who the hell is a bet? If you don't have any
I got
Welcome
it.
back,
You could
Princess.
have said Kamala's a DI hire and paid your
Do you
$1,000.
disagree?
I
Do you disagree?
Bro, earlier, have you been listening to the podcast? What did I say earlier about bad ideas and compensation plans and how many times I made bad comp plans? Of course it's a DEI hire. I was watching this morning, 6:30, whatever, one of the channels, they brought in the former director of DHS under Obama, a light-skinned African-American man who spoke so eloquently. And he said that he fired the former director of Secret Service, and he said, well, I didn't really fire. I asked her to resign. Well, so I don't really ask her to fire. Anyways, eventually he asked the question. Ducey's father asked the question. Ducey's father, Peter Ducey. I know the son's name more than I know the father's name. Although the father said, Steve Ducey asked the question saying, "Who would you like to see be the VP?" Says, actually, can I tell you something? Just because somebody's the candidate as a female doesn't mean the VP can't be female. I'd like to see the VP. I mean, this is just, listen, they're going to double down on DI. And I'd love to see that happen. But let's continue. We're going to go to this next story. Elon Musk says his son is dead, killed by woke mind virus. Rob, you have that clip. If you can play this clip on what he says about this is him, I believe, with Jordan Peterson on Daily Wire. Go ahead, Rob.
It happened to one of my older boys. Where I was essentially tricked into signing documents for one of my older boys, Xavier. This is before I had really any understanding of what was going on. We had COVID going on, and so there was a lot of confusion. I was told, Xavier might commit suicide if he
that was a lie right from the outset.
Incredibly evil, and I agree with you that people that have been promoting this should go to prison. So I was tricked into doing this, it wasn't explained to me that puberty blockers are actually just sterilization drugs. And so I lost my son, essentially. They call it dead naming for a reason.
Yeah,
All right, so the reason it's called dead naming is because your son is dead. So my son Xavier is dead, killed by the woke mind virus.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
I can't imagine what that would be like.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, and there's lots of people in that situation now.
Right.
It's not pretty, and lots of demolished kids.
Yes.
Yeah, well, that's a good reason to be the final straw. All right, so let's.
So I vowed to destroy the woke mind virus after that.
What an enemy!
And we're making some progress.
Dude, I
join the club.
Love him.
Yeah.
Never cross the line with a father's child, man. Just don't do it. Especially one who's a true believer. Never do it. Never do it. You're gonna get a side you've not seen before. Good for him. And by the way, a lot of people are in his camp right now. The difference is, a lot of people. How many kids who are transgender? Here's a question for you. You ready for this? How many kids who are trans became trans because their parents supported it and encouraged it? For example, what is the Machine Gun Kelly's girl's name? Something Fox.
Megan Fox.
Megan Fox. She's got 3 kids. They're all trans.
Get out of here. She dresses them as girls.
Can you pull this up? Megan Fox.
All 3?
Can you find out all 3 kids? All 3 kids.
With Brian Austin Green?
Hang on a second. Let me be who they are.
I think all 3 kids of Megan Fox are gay or something.
All the
like
boys
that.
dress as
all 3 Megan Fox. So can you verify this?
She was making them dress.
She has
boys.
kids with the guy from 90210.
If I'm not mistaken, all 3 are. So then you go to Charlize Theron adopted a son who's also transgender. Megan Fox has 3 sons who are all transgender or non-binary. Okay, who are all transgender or non-binary. Now, this is the reports that you read about it. I don't know the exact details about it, but how many kids are transgender because their parents supported or encouraged it? What do you think, Tom? You know what the question is, right?
Yep.
Because, like, for example, you think Magic Johnson is happy that his son is, you know, who he is? At the beginning, not today. At this point, he just wants to love his son. But at the beginning, when his son dresses, that's his son, by the way.
God, that is so
That could have been a point guard for the Lakers. No. So many guys are laughing like Bronny James. That could have been like the OG Bronny James. But it ended up being...
They're getting crossed up by a cross-dresser.
Right. So, but by the way, Dwayne Wade, go to Dwayne Wade.
Oh, God.
Right? Same exact thing with Dwayne Wade. What percentage of kids are trans because their parents encouraged and supported it?
Could it be 50?
I'm going to go more than 90%, and I'm going to go to something that Bill Maher said. And Bill Maher said when he goes back, this goes back about a year, and he had a very eloquent monologue that he did, was providing statistics on the percent of each generation. And his comment is, I can't, and I'm paraphrasing for him, but he said, I go to parties with Angelinos, and it's fashionable to talk about which of your kids is gay or trans. It's fashionable. And he said, why is it that more in LA are that way than in, he picked some Midwest city, Milwaukee? Could it be that the power of suggestion is pretty powerful and that these things are truly just phases? And I think he hit the nail on the head. And here's a guy talking about celebrities and talking about firsthand what he saw. And that passes my passes my test, because I'm like, here's a guy that's in the middle of Los Angeles directly talking about how celebrities and people.
So your answer is, I got it. So your answer is 90%.
And I'm 90%.
You're doing the Tom. You're doing an Adam. You're giving a 3-minute answer for yes or no.
No,
90%.
I didn't go that long, but I just said I'm at 90%.
I think you're allowing Adam to influence you, and you need to be your.
We might have to cut it off.
That's right. So here's my question for you. Elon is part of the 10% camp of parents who don't want that to become a reality. How painful must it be to lose a child to the community that converted it? Now, it could be many different reasons. It could be the mother, you know, one of the 2 parents that's doing that. Did you guys hear about what happened with Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie's daughter?
Did you get her last name?
She doesn't want his last name.
Oh, man.
She's changing her last name of her dad's last name. And apparently behind closed doors, Brad Pitt didn't take it too well. That Angelina persuaded Brad Pitt and her daughter to not accept her own last name. And you know who Angelina Jolie's father is?
Don't tell me. John Voight. John Voight. I saw him at that.
She also didn't take the dad's last name.
Oh.
So think about that. It's like, hey, you can do what mommy did. Do you know what movie she played in? Which was insane. She played in Original Sin. And I don't know if you've seen Original Sin.
Seen Original Sin?
God, when Antonio Banderas. It's a very... I don't think she acted in that movie.
That was just her.
I think
just like in Mr. and Mrs. Smith.
Yeah. So look, I mean, the process, the pain of a father, Tom, like Elon Musk. You have kids. What is he going through when he's saying, you know, that he, you know, the dead son is dead? Yeah, the son is dead. How is he processing that?
I've seen a lot of interviews with Elon Musk, and I saw pain in his eyes, and I saw Jordan Peterson was kind of, you know, going off making these side comments and things like that. And then Elon Musk kind of up to the last point, and vowed to destroy the woke mind virus after that. And then he pauses, and he's got really focused eyes, and he said, we're making some progress. I can't imagine the pain, but I can see it in his eyes in that interview. And him talking about, it was a lie from the outset. I was lied to. I was tricked during COVID. And he thought he was protecting his son. Listen carefully to what he says, right? I thought Xavier might commit suicide unless we allowed him to do some things. I was tricked. And so I cannot imagine the pain of saying, doggone it, I got tricked, I got talked into this, I did it, and now my son is taking these drugs that we can't reverse. We can't reverse. It says, what do I do now? And so he says, I vowed to destroy the woke mind virus after that. I cannot imagine his pain, but I can look at it in those eyes and I can see that. That is a pretty resolute Elon Musk, and I think he's feeling, I can't imagine the parental pain he's feeling.
And that's and not only that, it's, I don't know if you mentioned it, Tom, this is happening, all these celebrities, Ben Affleck, Megan, it's like all these people, like, I don't know if it's a fashion thing, I don't know if it's just like neglect if they're not around them, but you know, with schooling, and I mean, California is the mecca.
You nailed it, Vinny. It's Hollywood, Hollyweird. It's not out of the blue that all this stuff is happening in California, Hollywood. Of course, it's going to happen with that. But I also think one other thing, Jordan Peterson really missed a moment here. Because I actually watched a lot of that interview. He kept interrupting Elon when Elon was deep in thought. And he was about to say some stuff, man. And JP, respect to you, read the room, man. This guy was in a moment. And he was really trying to go there. And you could see that he was maybe even going to cry. And this is one of his kids. I think Elon has, 11 kids? I actually think one literally did die. And this other one, he said, was dead named. JP, Jordan Peterson, kept interrupting him when I think Elon was really going to go deeper and a little bit more emotional, a side of Elon that we very rarely get to see. And I think Peterson sort of interrupted him, but I think we understand now why fully Elon Musk is trying to dismantle the woke mind virus.
Yeah, by the way, this comes up after, Rob, if you have the story, when the AB, 1955 gets approved, which prompts Elon to say, I'm taking X out of California to Austin, okay? Is this the one, Rob? Is this the whole story? Let me just read this to you. Billionaire Elon Musk announced on Tuesday that he will be relocating headquarters SpaceX and X from Democrat-run California, he's talking about Gavin Newsom, to Republican-controlled Texas. This unexpected move comes in direct response to State Governor Gavin Newsom signing a bill prohibiting school districts from notifying parents when children change their preferred pronouns, gender identity, or sexual orientation. This is the final straw, Elon Musk said. Because of this law and the many other that preceded it, attacking both families and companies, SpaceX will now move its headquarters from Hawthorne, California to Starbase, Texas. In a follow-up post, he said, I did make it clear to Governor Newsom about a year ago that laws of this nature would force families and companies to leave California to protect their children. That's right there. And then he continues that a subsequent post on X comes out and says, I've had enough of dodging gangs of violent drugs addicts just to get in and out of buildings. You can go even lower. This is constant. And again, AB 1955 signed into law by Newsom Monday with Port School District, County of Office of Education, charter schools, and state special schools, and a member of governing board, a body of those educational entities from enacting or enforcing any policy, rule, or administrative regulation that, oh my God, requiring an employer or contractor to disclose any information related to pupils' sexual orientation, gender identity, or gender expression to any other person without the pupil's consent unless otherwise required by law as provided. Great job, Connor Walker. On your job. So, Tom, California, making these types of decisions. Gavin Newsom. This is what I kept asking myself. We would say, we're going to turn Texas blue, right? We're going to turn Texas blue. How much of this, it seems very intentional, no parent who is a just is going to want that. They're not going to agree with this. I don't know how many parents would support this, period. What parent, left, right, or center, wants a major life-changing decision to be made about their kid without them knowing about it? I don't know anybody, left, right, or center, would support something like this. What causes parents who have kids to stay there? Or is this an intentional job being made to move a lot of these people that are going to vote left anyways, no matter where they go, because they're pro-abortion type of voters, to move them to Texas, to move them to other states, Arizona, to be able to, because they know they have so many leftist voters in California that even if they lose 1 million people, they're going to continue voting left anyways. How much of this is intentional to influence other states now?
That's a deep thought, and it makes me makes me wonder because, yeah, California exports 1 million voters and California still stays dark blue. And then where do those 1 million go? They go to Arizona? Oh, that state sure got close. As a matter of fact, in the last election, that red state was taken by Joe Biden. And you take a look at that, I think that's a very compelling thought. That is this an intentional move to create a migration of people who are going to vote center left, but left and not to the right? Is it that move?
There's a speed trap ahead.
Or is it basically just the intentional destruction of the social structure in a socialist Marxist way, which is where the deeper thought in California is?